Now, don't calculate my age, okay? It was in 1984. Most of you were not born then. Anyway, that's me. That's when there was a lot of influx of refugees coming to the U.S. And I was going around to the different metropolitan cities, supporting the resettlement agencies in terms of acculturation issues for the newly migrating, refugees coming from Kenya, Somalia, and different parts of the world. So since then, am I covering? Okay, so now, so I'm going to rely on my paper then, okay? And then I'll just give you a sign and then, okay. So since then, I'm still covering?
Yes, you might have to move it where you stand.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, I'll just put it here. So, a lot of my experience is in Washington, D.C., known as ክልል 15. You know what that means? አዲስ አበባ being ክልል 14 and this one ክልል 15. A huge Ethiopian community. And which slide are we on? Okay, so just go to the next slide. So I've been at this for many years, and I have never in my life, when I started, I was the head of international mental health for Washington, D.C. for over 30 years. And I've never seen such an urgent issue, being, mental health and substance abuse issues being such a pressing issue in our community. Because it's knocking on everybody's door now. All families and so forth. And when we started this type of dialogue, I've been to a lot of the metropolitan cities. I didn't see this type of turnout. And then, especially right now with the current issues in terms of what's happening in the US with the immigrants and refugees and, the diaspora as a whole. What we see on TV and stuff like that's contributing even to the elevation of that anxiety and stress and depression. And the second thing is, there's already, people have, there's a lot of trauma with refugees and immigrants and so forth. So what's going now in Ethiopia and here, it's a re-traumatization, a re-emerging of all those trauma that people have endured for years and which has been unresolved. So it's steering it up. For your information, this is the first time when I have traveled all over this country, this is the first time when I'm traveling domestically that I brought my passport with me. Because I was not sure what's going to happen. I had to bring it with me. I never traveled with my passport when I'm traveling within the US, never. But that's part of our reality. So that's steering up a lot of issues. And of course, the stigma is huge. Mental health has been stigmatized for centuries. In fact, in Ethiopian culture, before you get married, there is an investigation made, whether your spouse, family has got issues of mental health or mental illness and so forth. So stigma has been a very huge issue for people not availing themselves for help, talking about it and so forth. The other one is, go to the next one, the number 5. So people came to us, to our clinics. I remember, I had big division. When it's kind of chronic, late, people are clinically depressed, suicidal, so not availing themselves, when they need help and finding that help, especially now. It's so difficult even to find help. Try to get to see a psychiatrist or, a therapist now. They're booked to the hill, and everybody knows who's in the mental health profession now. Even access has been always a challenge, and it's going to even be very difficult. And then the intergenerational issue, the second generation, we're seeing some problems there. Real clinical depression, suicides and so forth. And also, the access for mental health services, even in Washington right now, in Maryland and Virginia, access to mental health services is very, very limited for this population. And people are scared to go for services at this point in time, which makes it even worse. And the last one is, there are a lot of community indicators, because I get, I'm retired and everything, but I get calls all the time, can you help us, can you, how shall we go negotiating this very complex system to find, to get some help, to find services. So the whole thing is converging to the next one. So, mental health is a huge, huge issue. In terms of global burdens of diseases, when you look at the statistics, one of the highest burden is mental health neuropsychiatric issues, which carries 13%, when HIV/AIDS carried only 9% at its highest. And would you believe, according to WHO, in the world, 1 in 7 persons has got some sort of a mental health issue. 1 in 7. So if I count here, 1 out of 7 of you will have some issue. It's huge. And with the anxiety issues in the world, it's expected the prevalence is around 359 million people. The common disorders, depressive issues is 200 million, and so forth and so forth. So statistically, prevalence-wise, all around the globe, mental health issue is a big issue. And it's going to even get worse, which I'm going to come to the diaspora issue here. Next. By the way, and there's a lot of indication that with our population, with the diaspora, there's a lot of research that it's going to get worse. I'll come to that. But still, to put even a number on the prevalence, we cannot get that for the diaspora, but I have been able to calculate it in a different way, okay, and which I'm going to show it to you. Because there is not a aggregated data in terms of Ethiopians, there is the statistics in terms of the number of census, and there is a lot of undercount. But in terms of prevalence and so forth, you don't find it disaggregate. With Hispanics, yes, you can get some prevalence rates. But for our population, there isn't a clear prevalence rate. But I'll show you how I was able to calculate it. Go to the next one. In terms of according to the US Census, the closest one, a lot of people argue there may be an undercount. It's estimated there are around 325,000 Ethiopians in the US, according to the US Census, 2021. So I added another 50, which there is a statistics on Eritreans, and then with the undercount, if you add another, let's say 50,000, because it's a 2021 statistics, I calculated it based on 425,000 Ethiopian diasporas, okay? Which is a conservative count, okay? So it's based on that I'm going to tell you. So go to the next one. So if you look at, the aggregate of, where a lot of, Ethiopians are living, there are some statistics, but there is a lot of undercount. It's very, very unreliable. But I have been able to find much more reliable statistics in the DMV area, which is the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. So you can extrapolate for California, depending, the estimated number, and I'll show you how it's calculated. Go to the next one. Okay, so go to the next one. So go next. Okay, so there is a study with the World Health Organization. A lot of the prevalence around the globe is similar, the same, meaning that there isn't that much difference. There may be deviation, 0.1, +1, -1, and so forth. So I calculated the statistics in terms of the prevalence based the U.S. rate, the U.S. prevalence rate, okay? Go to the next one. So, using the 425,214 Ethiopian diaspora, and then the DMV area, 200,000 Ethiopians residing, that's based, I'm using the US statistics in terms of the prevalence of mental illness. Go to the next one, and go to the chart one, okay. So, if in terms of the US prevalence, in terms of any type of mental health issues, this is a National Institute of Mental Health, or SAMHSA, prevalence rate. Out of the 336 million US citizens, it's estimated that 23.1% have got some sort of mental illness. It's huge, isn't it? Which translates into 77,616,000. So if you take the diaspora estimate number and the equivalence with the 425,214, that means there will be 98,224 Ethiopian and the Eritrean community that potentially has got some sort of a mental health issue. Oh, these are not my numbers. This is just based on equivalency. In terms of serious mental illness like schizophrenia, psychosis, and so forth, it's 5.6%. So with the US population, 18 million and so forth, right? With the Ethiopian population, you can estimate at least out of the 425,000, you can estimate at least to have 23,812 individuals having a serious mental illness. That's the prevalence. I'm just putting a number on it. In terms of major depressive disorders, by the way, one of the highest prevalence that we see with the Ethiopian community is depression. It's just like a common cold. You can expect it. Even the statistics that we're able to develop, which I'll show you, the major issue with a lot of the Ethiopian diaspora, number one is depression, clinical depression. And the next one is anxiety. Is 8.3% the prevalence, and then with the diaspora population, you can expect at least 35,293. That's a huge number. And when we're talking about major depressive disorders, what we're talking about those who need professional help. Because there's a situational depression, depending on issues with job, marital, problems and so forth. And when that things resolve, it goes away. I'm talking about really major depressive disorder that requires professional intervention, including medication and so forth. And then in terms of the anxiety, you can imagine what's going on with the anxiety at this point now with this population. The prevalence rate for the US population is 19%, 19.1% actually. And then, that means it translates up to 81,000 diaspora, Ethiopian diaspora and Eritrean diaspora population. I'm just putting the numbers on it now, okay? So the problem is real. And then, and then I calculated in terms of suicide rate here, which, you continue the next one, which is substance abuse and so forth. So let me just skip that. I've got the statistics and everything, and then you can get it from, Sanite, you're going to put it in your website and so forth. You're welcome to do that. So you can get it there. So anyway, so let me go to slide, what's that? Slide 29. Do the recommendation. Go ahead. Continue. Go ahead. That's a statistic. Go ahead. Okay. So, basically, summarizing because these are the statistics I was going to talk about, I can talk about in detail. So we have to institutionalize, and mental health and substance abuse issues should be a standing agenda in all aspects of, our institutional life. The faith-based organization have to really be on the pulpit and talk about it. community-based organizations, and then we have to link, with the formal mental health system, for referrals and so forth. We have to upgrade our competency, awareness in terms of what is depression, what's anxiety, and what is, schizophrenia and so on, so that people are aware. That way they can take appropriate action. The second one is, let's go to the second one. Institutionalized mental health, I said. The third one is, I see mental health issue not as an individual issue, by the way. It's a family issue, the way I see it. Whenever I see patients, I know the more you involve the family, the better outcome. So it's not referring, your son or, some relative, to a therapist or to a psychiatrist. It's to get really involved, to be of support, to understand what's going on and so forth. So I believe mental health issues should be looked as a family issue, as a society issue, as a community issue. It's just not simply referring somebody to a a professional or a psychologist and so forth. The more we engage the family at the psychiatric center, the better outcome we had, because they are the one who is with that person 24 hours a day. They're coming to see me just maybe for 15 minutes if they are lucky. So we have to make it a family issue. Last but not least, I've worked with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church in Ethiopia. I was talking to you about Cassis earlier and so forth. And here, the faith-based organization. I think the faith-based organization can play a very, very important role. Before people go to a professional, they go to their spiritual advisor. But there is one thing, I hate to criticize the faith-based organizations, but we really have to help them be aware of the issue, sensitize them, and then link them to services so that their help can be very effective. So capacitating, increasing awareness, helping the faith-based organization, community-based organization, linking to professionals and so forth, is the only way to go, because things are not going to get better. I guarantee you, it's going to get worse. And a lot of families are going to pay prices. Okay, so thank you for giving me the time. Do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tedla, for that very informative information that you gave us. I was just reminded that if you have any questions or comments that you would like to make, there's a notepad and some pens on your tables. So if any questions that you may have, you can just jot down your questions and then pass them forward. And at the end of the sessions, we will do the question and answer session. Okay, next we have Wizero Tizita Belacho, who is a retired journalist and a native of Ethiopia with a distinguished career in international broadcasting. She served as chief of the Voice of America's Horn of Africa service for 39 years, overseeing broadcasts to Ethiopia, Eritrea, and diaspora communities worldwide. Previously, she spent 7 years as managing editor, providing editorial leadership for multimedia programming and covering political, social, and health-related stories across Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Sudan, and Sudan. Under her leadership, the service expanded to radio, television, and social media, significantly increasing audience reach and engagement. She is also the founder and director of the Bia Belaine Foundation, BBF, for mental health, established in honor of her late son. Through the foundation, she advocates for mental health, awareness, education, dignity, and hope for individuals and families affected by mental illness. Ms. Belacho holds a Bachelor of Arts in Radio, Television, and Film, and a Master of Education from Howard University in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Ms. Tizita. And before I go to the major question that I would like to ask you to also give us answers or your presentation on it. I would first like to ask you why you founded Via Belaina Foundation, and then if you can give me the opportunity to go to my next question.
Okay. Thank you. What is? You can't see me? I'm sorry.
You can just sit down while he's changing the slides.
Yeah, I love to stand up though, but that's okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mulumabit, for that introduction. Thank you so much for having me, African Coalition. This is a great opportunity for us to introduce the Via Belaina Foundation for Mental Health. So this is my story. I was a mother of two. I lost my older son to mental illness. It's a horrible experience. It's painful forever and ever. But sharing the story is very, very important, so no one suffers like my son suffered, or no family suffers like we did for almost 15 years. So let me just tell you a little bit about Bia. Bia was an upright individual from the beginning. He was a very energetic, bright-eyed, a go-getter kind of kid. So he was a straight A student, honor roll, and in high school he was also a celebrated athlete. He was the captain of the football for his school. He played football, and he also played basketball. He was the point guard. And when he graduated high school, we really did not have time to attend to all his honors and all the celebrations. He was just an incredibly smart, happy, a member of our family. And his personality, he's very loving, affectionate, respectful, helpful, compassionate, and he's a nicknamer. He, in our community, he has so many people who nicknamed. My name is Mamzarams. That's his affection. So anyway, we celebrated him and we sent him to college. A couple of years down the line, not even a couple of years, he started experiencing depression. So not knowing what depression is, we said, just hang in there, because he went to college on full scholarship. So we said, you don't want to mess up your scholarship. You must be missing home. You can't come home. Stay there, hang in there. But he did for one more semester. Then he came home, and after that, we learned the extent of his illness. There are times when he would not leave his room. The very clean, upright, happy kid would not shower for days. His door is shut, and he does not eat or sleep. And at the same time, we learned the issue of substance abuse. His choice drug was marijuana. So it's after that that we took him to a psychiatrist. We didn't do it right away because we didn't know. So this is a lesson from me. When you suspect something, do it right away. Don't hesitate. but do not overreact, because you would add it to, the injury. Then he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. After the bipolar disorder, he was taking medication. It's difficult to manage the medication. To Ethiopia, we did everything that imaginable that a parent can do. We could not help him. My son was homeless. He walked, if you know the Washington Beltway, he walked the Beltway day and night. That's what mental illness does to people. Then came COVID. After COVID, he became epileptic. He had COVID also. So in April 2021, we lost him. We were informed by state police that he was found dead. So we lost the battle. But throughout Bia's illness, there are, incidents. Maybe you can go to the next slide. There were lessons for us, lots and lots of lessons. How mentally ill people experience, they are accused of violating the law. For instance, my son was diagnosed by a state doctor, and the state doctor has deemed him severely mentally ill. He's schizophrenic. But at the same time, he would be arrested for trespassing, for drinking in public. So his life was, from a hospital to jail and the streets. That was really, really painful for us. But everywhere we went and everywhere Bia was, there were other Ethiopians, there were other Eritreans. As we always, we connect as people from the same region, they connect everywhere. He says, these are my Eritrean friends, these are my Ethiopian friends. But, with many families, we learned there is shame associated with mental illness. There is taboo about talking mental illness. So after Bia died, we said we have to do something. And that's the birth of BBF, the Bia Balaina Foundation for Mental Illness. So our vision for that was just to create awareness in our community, in Eritrean and Ethiopian community. Talk about mental illness. Mental illness is probably the worst disease is cancer. Yes, mental illness is the worst because it takes away your mind. It takes away your insight. But there are treatments for it. There are cares for it. So our mission was, and also we know how we suffered. So people can, people who live with mental illness would have care and treatment, and then families will have support and resource information. So our vision with BBF, you can go to the next slide. Our vision is, a society, a community, Ethiopian and Eritrean community, living with no stigma, and knowing and understanding what mental illness is, and also being open and seeking treatment. So that's what Bia Balaina Foundation has been doing for the last 3 years. We've been working on just creating awareness. So, and the way, so our job is advocacy among our community. At the same time, advocacy with, policymakers. I shared about a mentally ill person trespassing and going to jail, but at the same time being labeled as, severely mentally ill. So we try to talk about it, we try to educate, we try to appeal to the community. And also, we do it with compassion. And we want the community also to do it with compassion, with understanding, with no judgment. Because the mentally ill people, there is a misconception in our community that mentally ill people are those who are hanging out with the wrong crowd. They bring the disease to themselves. They're drug, users, that kind of thing. But mental illness, as Dr. Tadla described, it's within our community. So we have to recognize it. We have to help out with compassion. And also integrity and dignity for the mentally ill. That is very important. And when my son was ill, the closest culturally competent, giving them what we didn't have. But is that the right way? We don't know. But people who in the field of psychiatry would know and can fill that gap. So cultural sensitivity is important. And also we preach about hope. Although I'm not a good example, I lost my son, but I have seen people who recovered with treatment and medication. So thank you for listening to me. All right.
ወይዘሮ ትዝታ, I have to say that I speak for all of us when I say this. We really acknowledge your courage, your willingness to share your lived experience. We are truly grateful for you to be strong and come and share this important information with us. And as a mother and as a woman, as a Habesha, an Ethiopian, I know how difficult that is to come up and speak, but how important it is. So we have to thank you, and we're profoundly sorry for the loss of your son. But you are truly being the light to a lot of people that need this support and this hope. And I'm sure you realize that you're really carrying the legacy of your son in doing so much good to families and your community. So we thank you so much for that. You have answered all of the questions I know that I would have asked, and I know we're short of time, but I think it's very important for Wezoro Tizita to touch on this a little bit briefly, because I think it's important not only to bring the experiences to the community, but I also want you to maybe share with us how it helped you heal to share, so that maybe others can learn from that. Can you touch base on that a little bit, please?
Thank you so much for that kind word, Mulumabit. Healing. Have I healed? I don't know. Grief is a lifetime. Grief is also like a storm, Even in one day, I have my moments. But then, speaking about this and sharing my experience really helps. It's like I'm doing something, And I think also Biya wants me to do this. I really think he is approving of what we are doing. So that gives me a lot of energy. And let me just back up. For some reason, because of Biya's personality, because of the support we had in our community, we raised our children together from diaper days to high school. We went to their games, their drama, their ballet, their piano lesson, and everything. We celebrated them together. But when Biya fell ill, it was easy for me to reach out to people who raised him. So I didn't have to hide because we were wondering what the heck happened. What is it? So we're in it together. My community was helping me with finding the right insurance, finding the right treatment, finding the right counselor. So I did not have to hide, or I did not have to be ashamed of what happened to Bia, because Bia is my pride. He's going to continue to be my pride. He is my pride. So sharing is healing me in a way, although I have my moments. I don't want to take up much time. If there is any other question, I'll respond later on. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person I would like to introduce on the panel is Sheikh Mansour Hamoud. It's interesting because he came and sat next to me, and then I told him, I said, you know what, I don't have a short bio for you, so can you tell me about yourself? And he said, well, what should I tell you about myself? You know, somebody who says that to you, you know, has a lot to tell, but is the most modest, and somebody who just does a lot of service to his community, but doesn't want to count it or say what it is. Because this is not the first time I've met Sheikh Mansour. I've met him previously before too, and I've heard so many good things about him from his community. He is a spiritual advisor, he's a teacher, he's a community leader. He promotes togetherness and supports community fundraisings, bridging the gap. He's very much involved in interfaith community services and really supporting his community, not only through faith, but also in bringing different faiths together. And we see that today. It was very beautiful to see Assis Jonas and Sheikh Mansour do our opening prayers. That's what's community about. We're all in this together. So thank you for being here, Sheikh Mansour. And so the question that I'll have for you is, as a respected community leader who has long supported spirituality, what role do you believe faith, family, and community leadership play during times of crisis based on your experience? If you could share that with us. Thank you.
First, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about something which I always talk about. Number one thing is I really appreciate, I know everything. And thank you, Dr. Elder. Yeah, we learned a lot of things today. What is mental health? I just want to start with that. Number one, mental health, what it is? What makes it we have a mental health? How do we lose those things? So the solutions are in three things which I have to talk about. Number one is community, cultural awareness, community, and spirituality. When we say cultural, what does it mean? Naturally, we have been given 2 ears and 1 tongue. What does it mean? It means we have to be a good listener when somebody has a situation. We have to give him a chance to listen and be in his place and walk with him. That way we can turn his direction to the direction where he is walking. Number two, naturally, there is certain things we are naturally given. We didn't afford it, we didn't buy it, we didn't get it, nowhere. And those natural things are connected with our brain, our soul, our body, and our spirituality. The spirituality means the connection with the one who manufactured our body system. He knows where to put where, he knows what to do what. Do we have that connection with him? How do we connect with him? What do we have to do spiritually? What do we have to do? Well, we do a lot of things for something which somebody give us, or somebody give us money, work and everything. But when we have spirituality, we have to connect it with our culture, with our spirituality, and we as our community. A community is what? What does a community do with the mental health? Because there is a communication, talking. Sometimes I have met a person who has mental health and he was on medicine. When I was talking to him, I told him, why are you taking a medication? What is going on? What's missing from you? Is there anything missed from you? Is there anything that I can get it for you? I talked to him for 3 days. He stopped his medication and he started his good life. There was no any problem. Because his problem was nobody was seeing the way he feels something, nobody was listening to him. So he lost attention. Because of this attention, he has to know and to talk to nobody, and then he was lost himself. He doesn't know what he is going to do. So when we talk about community, what does a community do? Do we have a community? Yes, we have a community. The community is communication in another way. When we get together, when we do things together, that means we communicate, we work together, and we solve the problem together. Sometimes the way I see it, maybe nobody sees it that way. So when somebody listens to me and understands the way I see it, then that person may have a solution for me to solve that problem. So in religion, when we say spirituality, there is prayers, there is meditation, there is a way. It says in one of the spiritual book, a person who puts his head down on the floor, he will never have migraine. It says like that. In spirituality, when we say prayer, what does it mean? Connecting our soul, our spirit, with the one who created it, with the one who made it. If we connect it, does he have a solution for it? Yes, he has a solution. We have a lot of histories, a lot of stories in the Quran, in the Bible, that we have to do it. When we say somebody has the knowledge of Bible or the knowledge of Quran, what does it mean? He has been given a guidance, so he has to guide others the right way to go. But not in our time nowadays, we have a lot of challenges, guys. Social medias, other things going around us. All those things can influence us, can change our way of thinking. So what we have to do, we have to have a community where we share things. We communicate to each other. We talk to each other. We learn from each other. I tell you one thing, guys, in this chance, religion is not a division. Religion is a unity. No matter which religion you guys are, I am, is, we have the same aim, the same things to go. That's why we have to form united community where we can help our society, our community, to change the problems they have. Thank you. Really appreciate for giving me this chance.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Mansour. The next person I'd like to introduce on the panel is Attorney Sabah Mohammed. Attorney Sabah Mohammed is a policy advocate and attorney whose work centers on improving systems of care for individuals with severe mental illness. As Senior Legislative and Policy Counsel at the Treatment Advocacy Center, she provides legal guidance and advances state and federal reforms aimed at expanding access to effective treatment. Her commitment to public service began long before law school through education, advocacy with the Scholarship Academy, and community servant leadership with AmeriCorps Atlanta, and continued her work as a public defender in Henry County, Georgia. Sabah earned her Juris Doctor from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, a historically black university in Tallahassee, and her bachelor's degree with Georgia State University. Welcome, Attorney Sabah.
Thank you for that introduction. You can't see me over this either. Okay. I thought my heels would make me taller than Tizzy Chow, but it does not. Okay. So thank you so much for having me here. I feel quite grateful. One of my goals I expressed to my professor in law school when we were talking about my future, what did ultimate severe mental illness advocacy look like to me? And I said it means touching the diaspora some way. And I never knew that it would come this way, that would start from the organization where I was already working. And so I am just very happy. This is some of the most important work that I've done, most personally satisfying work that I've done with the Treatment Advocacy Center so far. So I work for TAC, that's what we called Treatment Advocacy Center. We are about 26 years old, and we came from the recognition that severe mental illness needed a different set of advocacy and community approaches from mental health, mental wellness, and mental illness by itself. When we say the severe, next slide, please. Severe mental illness is, so our mission to, did I forget the mission? Eliminate the barriers to timely and effective treatment of severe mental illness through advocacy, public education, and support for individuals and families affected by severe mental illness. So if you hear me say SMI throughout, that is severe mental illness. And the reason being is the set of symptoms surrounding severe mental illness mimic incapacity. They mimic a refusal or an inability, not refusal, an inability to maybe see that you are sick, and therefore it limits the access you have to resources in communities. There's a legal barrier to trying to find help when you don't say, I need help. And severe mental illness would mean the bipolar, schizophrenia, or schizoaffective disorder, and serious depression. So someone who had bipolar depression that was managed, you could take a simple drug and maybe talk to a therapist, you would be okay. Severe mental illness means persistent and constant hallucinations, auditory, visual, the very symptoms that were mentioned, that Tezita mentioned, like not bathing, the homelessness, those are all symptomatic. They are not behavioral choices. Feeling like there's surveillance, paranoia, those, when I say severe mental illness, that's what I mean. Next slide. So I want to talk to you about the state resources that is what you need to think about when you're thinking about how do I get help for my loved one. And it's a really interesting place to start, but that's why it's the advocacy element. Because what you learn is that, like I said, when your loved one can't say, I need help, but they clearly need it, you then have to become their advocate, and you have to become the entire family's advocate. And this is not a California problem, this is across the nation. Every state has a different set of laws that when you have a severe mental illness, if you were thinking about harming yourself or others, that you have to but you have to get over that bar to treatment just to get someone who wants to harm themselves help in the moment. So imagine your loved one does tell you, I want to hurt myself. They never do, but you're very lucky if they come to you and say that. And if you know the resources in your community, then you will be lucky enough to try to connect them to those resources. But then the laws and how they're practiced in your community might look a little different on the ground from how they are written. Your loved one might have to prove that they have the thing that is going to harm them or someone else. They might have to prove that they already have been rejected by medication. They might have to prove that they're homeless. They might have to prove they don't have insurance. That is where the advocacy comes into play. And if you're their caregiver or their community member, the more you know about the laws in your state, the more you can help them get over that barrier and get connected to treatment. Next slide. So we provide support by offering, we start with the legislator. I go through different state capitals. I work with groups like this who want to know what are the laws, how do we change them, what do we need to change? And we go through session. Right now I'm actively in session with Massachusetts and Connecticut because they have certain laws, our assisted outpatient treatment law, that they would like to get in their state. You have assisted outpatient treatment in other forms, Kendra's Law and various step-down programs, Care Court, all come under that umbrella of after you experience an involuntary commitment, what happens next? So everything I say, most of what I tell you today is about the involuntary commitment component. We have grading the states. If you go to our website, which is treatmentadvocacycenter.org, you'll find the grade that California receives for the language of the law, not how effectively the law is implemented. So if you are interested in becoming an advocate, your first stop would be our website. You look for the state map that was on the other slide, and you find California, and you can get a list of all of the known resources in your area for help with severe mental illness. We would also help you if you had a piece of law that you wanted to introduce to your state. We help you draft, we help you think tank, we help you connect to other caregivers who are doing the same thing. We help you write testimony if you want to appear at your local government hearing day about any mental health laws. And we do everything from the boot camp, how to talk to your legislator, how to follow up with them, everything you can need to do to get through session, we help you do that. And we teach you how to lobby and go directly into the Capitol and speak to people. Know your representative's name, the names of representatives on the committee that you want the change to happen. And you can always reach out to us for those services. We are working as a liaison for BBF. I was about to say but we are working to figure out what kind of lobbying needs to be done in the DMV area and how to approach that. Next slide. This is the treatment law we just passed in Maryland in 2024. They didn't have assisted outpatient treatment in any form. It took us 20 years as an organization to get it across the finish line. So that is what advocacy is. It is a marathon. You must become an expert. You must become your loved one's biggest advocate, cheerleader, supporter, but you also have to get help. You will need your community. Next slide. So this is a mother, Leslie Carpenter, who works for Treatment Advocacy Center. She started off like a caregiver with a sick son who saw that the laws in her state would not help her. Now she is a certified lobbyist in the state of Iowa, almost single-handedly. She went to the Capitol, kept going, and got AOT and a budget for their program in her state. You can do this work. I'm not saying it's easy, but our organization is built of caregivers who made the needed changes. Next slide. This is also Jerry. She works for Treatment Advocacy Center. A mother in Washington State with a sick son. Unfortunately, the laws failed her, and he took his own life after being involuntarily committed. They let him leave because the law did not look at the whole picture of his health, and he was still in danger. She is now a working advocate with the Treatment Advocacy Center, started her own organization. This is what caregivers are out there doing. So I'm here to deliver the news that you may not be able to find the answers, but they are within your power. If you use your community, you use the laws, you use yourself to become empowered and become an advocate. Next slide. This is what the page looks like on Treatment Advocacy Center's website. We have a Joan C. Scott Family Resource Center. You can get lots of different tools for advocacy on that page, and we are working to translate them so that they will be directly available in Amharic, so you can distribute them. We're even going to translate one of our informational video, many of them, as many as we can. Next slide. So this slide, it looks so fancy. I feel a little bit embarrassed about it today because I started my morning doing exactly what I'm telling you to do with a family mental health crisis. Stigma is really socially accepted discrimination among a community. And it makes me scared, after my years of expertise, to sit in front of you and give you ideas when I come from a family with mental illness. And I put this slide up and it looks like I got answers, but I have to do the same things. We're never scared to say we have the flu. We're never afraid to say we're too tired, I broke a leg. I could not say out loud to my community that my loved one has paranoid schizophrenia. I could not say it for years, maybe. And the first time I did, it felt like freedom. They just leaned in and said, we all have issues. And so it took being brave to realize that I was not alone. We have to remove the stigma. The stigma is two parts. Stigma is a lot of things. It's you finding out how to be brave, but it's also the reconciliation for the stigma you may have caused. I thought I was too strong to suffer from poor mental health. Didn't know I came from a family with poor mental health. I had not read a brochure. Where did that arrogant opinion come from? I'll never be so depressed that I want to hurt myself. I hadn't read a sentence about severe mental illness. That's the nature of our social, we give ourselves permission to show that stigma. And then we go, those people on the street, they're the problem. How many people on those streets have a family that is fighting tooth and nail and we judge them? So that's going to be one of the biggest barriers, starting with advocacy and taking a look at what that stigma does. Next slide. These are some of the books. When you have someone in your family with severe mental illness, you must learn a new language. And there cannot be this idea that one part of your community infrastructure will solve it all. You never make a meal with the ingredients you grew, cultivated yourself. From the grocery store to the distributors, you have to use the entire infrastructure to get the answers. And that's what we have to do. We have to use the entire infrastructure. You can't just say, it's my child, I know them. You don't know this language yet. The closest person to your child might be a faith leader. My brother was only took himself to the hospital one time, and it's because our minister said, go to the hospital. He didn't just tell him to pray or your family has a devil. He knew the system. No other time, and my brother was involuntarily committed or arrested twice a year, at least twice a year, every year for about 7 years. When a faith leader told him to go, he went. Unfortunately, our story doesn't end there. My brother is long-term in a forensic facility. And he started off with the same story as Tezita's son, outgoing, football, everybody loved him, and then suddenly a personality change. You, as a parent, you have love, you have connection, you made them, but you gotta learn this language because you'll miss the connection that needs to be there for this. This is highest level brain science. You gotta get help, you do, and it won't come from one source. Next slide. That's it. I will go back and say, there was a word on the last slide, it's called anosognosia. One of the biggest points of advocacy and teaching we do is about lack of insight. So right now, my healthy brain, I'll think a thought, I'll have an epiphany, I'll hear a narrative, and I will know, oh, I thought a thought. That's just me. An unhealthy brain, severe mental illness, those hallucinations, visual, they will think a thought. This is not scientific, this is the comparison. They would think a thought and want to find the voice. You can't reverse that. You can't convince that. And if your loved one is saying, I don't need help, it could be because of their lack of insight. So that's one of the biggest takeaways that our organization teaches that I want to give to you today. And I will land right there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, very informative, and of course, one of the most difficult, like you said, is being able to get the help rather than having law enforcement jump in. That would be, I think, another discussion that we may have on another day to say what kind of programs or education do you think law enforcement agencies should have, but that's a big thing on its own. So I'll go to my next panelist, Alpha Timbo. He has extensive and distinguished career in clinical social work and mental health leadership. He is the founder and former executive director of Alpha G Associates and currently serves as the clinical director at the African Coalition. Mr. Timbo is a licensed clinical therapist, consultant, and certified trainer with more than 30 years of experience working across multiple mental health service organizations. His professional background includes leadership roles with the Youth Intervention Program in Los Angeles County, LA County Family Preservation, and Personal Involvement, Inc., where he serves as a clinical director and senior program director. Mr. Timbo earned a Master of Social Work from the University of California, Los Angeles, as well as a Master of Arts in Political Science and International Relations from California State University. Welcome, Alpha Timbo. As he goes up, I'll pose my question. The African Coalition serves both Ethiopian and broader African community members. So based on your professional experience working with these communities, what key factors should we understand about mental illness in these cultural contexts? And what culturally responsive approaches to care are most effective in supporting individuals and families?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I thought I was going to say something different, but it seemed like everything that I wanted to say, you said already. Thank you. Trust me. To Tizita, to Dr. Mohammed, and Brother Mansour, you guys have said it. You make my job a little difficult, but that's okay. I'm going to handle it. What I want to first of all say is that 70 to 75% of the people I see for mental health therapy are Ethiopians and Eritreans. A lot of you don't know that, but I do. I've done that a lot of years. And I know Dr. Taylor, Dr. Mohammed, and maybe Brother Mansour too, has defined what mental health is. Is that right? Brother Mansour defined mental health in the form of a spiritual process. Is that right? That's what we saw. And Dr. Mohammed talked about it too. Dr. Taylor talked about it too. But I really see people on a daily basis that comes in with problems. We use the word mental health, which is okay. So did you ever ask yourself really what mental health is in America or in the Western world as opposed to where we came from? You remember that? Where we came from, mental health is kind of intertwined with spirituality. You understand that? I mean, when something happens, you talk to yourself, you're using a lot of drugs, you have a problem with your family, you are doing something that is not right. They said, go see this, what? The imam, or go see who? The pastor, is that right? So, the pastor or the imam, myself, I came from West Africa. My grandma used to do that. I'm not lie about that. They would write something from the Quran, give it to me to put in my head, or maybe drink some. Hopefully I'm going to get better. There's nothing wrong with that. That's where we came from. When you talk about mental health, you understand? Or they will ask you to go to the church and go under the whatever and pray, they put something on your head, give you some water, holy water to drink. That's what we do back home. Is that right? But also we migrated to America here. We find ourselves in a different land. And we try to find out what mental health is. What is it mental health? Does it mean here in America? Think about it. I don't want to talk about that a whole lot. That's too clinical. Okay? I want to just give an example. If I ask you today, I have some things here I said, and then not you. What does that mean in your language? How you doing? Is that right? And how do you answer? Pulu salam. No. That's what I was made to understand. Meaning that I'm okay. Is that right? But when you say you're okay, does that mean everything else is okay? Is that right? Does it mean saying that your son, your daughter, your family, the traffic, everything is fine? No. You just say that life is a dash line. Doing whatever you need to do on a daily basis to continue to what? To survive. It's okay. Nobody's happy every day. If you're happy every day, something wrong with you. No, I'm serious. And also, if you're sad every day, something wrong too. Is that right? So life life is about a balance. I go home tonight, my wife gave me good breakfast or good lunch or good dinner. I feel okay. Is that right? Tomorrow I go home, my wife saw a lipstick on my collar, and she started cussing me out. I feel a little down. That's life. Is that right? That's just life. That's what happens. That's what we do on a daily basis. Is that right? The traffic is hard, heavy, going to work. I go to work, I talk to my boss, he gave me a little cracker, we talk a little nice. I'm okay, I'm a little here. It's balance that we need to maintain. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what life is. But sometimes, when we say mental health, that balance goes out of what? Balance. That's when we have a problem. That's when we have a problem. And when that balance is off, is too high, or is too low, you need to get help. That's why I'm there. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. That's the reason I'm here as a licensed clinical social worker to come to me. These guys right here, this you, I just talked to them briefly. I give them my number. I say, call me anytime. Anything happens, call me. In the middle of the night, I'm here to help you. You understand what I'm saying? So, think about it. When something is out of balance, you need to fix it. And how do you fix it? That's where we come in. A lot of things happen coming to America. Some of us came the right way. As they say, quote unquote, I came with a student visa. Okay, I was 18 years old, like you guys. I was in Louisiana. When I came in, my accent is horrible. You understand? I cannot even get a girlfriend. Because I don't know how to go about it. Back home, when you want a girlfriend, you just say, can you be my girlfriend? And they tell you right there. In America, without trauma. What is trauma? Trauma is what I talked about earlier. When something knocks. That right? That balance is not there anymore. When somebody has a trauma, I don't want to go in the middle of a lot of it. Like sexual trauma, immigration trauma, family trauma, work trauma. I can go on and on. A lot of things can happen. They knock you off balance. When they knock you off balance, you stay down there. You have to come back to that balance that you used to have. Because if you stay there, you're going to use what? Can tell anybody take a wild guess? If you stay down there with the trauma, what's going to happen to you? If you stay down there, what are you going to do? You're going to use dysfunctional efforts to have you cope. You use drugs, you prostitute, you lie, you cheat, you steal, because it's trauma. You understand what I'm saying? So now, we're going to have to understand that a lot of us are going through something. But the best way to make sure we are able to help our community, we are able to help our people, as each and every one of us have said, is to be what? Empathetic. Listen. Communicate with your child. Communicate with your wife. Communicate with your husband. Try to understand what is it going on. Do not be too judgmental. Seek help. And when you seek help, then we are going to find a way to help you. Yes, we are a religious people. I'm a Muslim. We are Christians here. But guess what? If I go to the masjid and pray all night for God to change my condition without me taking action, I'm afraid I'm wasting my time. God said pray, but also go try to do something to help yourself. Is that right? Don't just pray. So a lot of people come to us with what? with depression, with anxiety, with bipolar disorders, with mood disorder, with a lot of stuff. And how do we help them? We help them by doing what we call psychotherapy. Usually, it's better if the family is involved. When the family is involved, they are supportive, then the psychotherapy tends to get better. People are depressed. All of us are going through something. Everybody's going through something. It's not the degree of what you're going through. But if you're going through something, please, if you're out of that balance, something wrong. Get some help. If you argue with your husband every day, something wrong. If you have to drink every day, something wrong. Okay? If you have to talk to yourself every day when nobody's there, something wrong. We all talk to ourselves. Is that right? I do talk to myself. I do. But when you do that to the point it becomes a problem, then you need help. You understand? So I don't know what to say other than to really encourage us all to be supportive of our communities, supportive of each other. Seek help. Look deep into yourself and say, look, my son has a problem. My husband has a problem. They need help. And when you come to us to help you, the help is very confidential. We don't go around sharing your business with the community. We don't do that. You can only tell who you want to tell. But we're not going to go around telling people what's going on with you. So with that, depression can be what? You're isolating yourself, as we have had already. You are homeless out there, walking down the street. Most of the homeless people we see have gone through trauma. That's why they are out there. When you got trauma, you stop down there. You don't come up anymore. But if you get help, you will come back to a place where you can be able to function on a daily basis. So, I wish I had more time, but I don't. I see the lady putting the time up. But I'm willing, for you guys willing. You see this? It's very clinical. For those of you that want to talk more about it, we can talk about it during the intercession. Or you can call me, we can talk more about it. Thank you all very much for listening. And I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much. Let us put our arms together one more time for our panelists and moderators. Thank you. We're going to have them back in here for Q&A. One thing I'm going to ask you is, there's a paper and also there's a notebook and a pen in front of you on each table. If you need one, please raise your hands. I want you guys to write your questions. If you have any questions, any comments, please jot it down. And we're going to go around collecting and we're going to ask them after our break when we come back before we conclude today. So again, thank you for all the experts. They gave us the data. They show what we must do, how to prevent it. They give us personal experience from them. Turning pain into purpose. We heard from them. And how to connect spiritual, mental, physical is a condition what everyone is facing. We saw that. Well, we were told to learn a new language, right? You guys remember. Finally, we heard how to balance all this together. So it's a very balanced way to, for us to have this understanding. I hope we all absorb something from them. We'll continue to do this. Keep your questions. We're going to switch back to our second panelist, the youth panelist. And before we say thank you, I want to get all again for one more time, your hands together for our panelists and their experts. Thank you. Thank you. And also, of course, our moderator, Attorney Mulu, our sister. Thank you very much for doing this. And they're going to come back to us again. It's not that we're going to do. Thank you very much. We're going to switch to our second panel discussion. I'm going to ask Shelley-Ann Burjat come over here and lead us to our youth panelists. She's going to introduce them, and she's going to be leading up And also, you know, we started almost 45 minutes late. We started 45 minutes late. We were pressing for time already, so I hope you guys don't mind if we stay a little longer because we gotta finish what we started. Yes. No, just now. Then, no, sorry. Sure. So please, just to make sure, we're gonna have a break after our second panelist. So we'll take a break after panelist. We'll have a break.
I think I'll take that one. You guys are sharing.
So we're broadcasting this live on Diaspora Media. You can reach out for the link to our new brothers. So those people who guys want to attend, you can definitely reach out to the team.
Hello everyone, my name is Shelly Ann Verdema. I am a youth pastor at Ethiopian and Eritrean Fellowship Church in LA. So thank you guys for being here. I'm very excited to moderate today. So I'm just here to facilitate conversation between our youth panelists here today. So thank you guys for being here and supporting.
Sorry.
Okay,
Switch? Okay.
So my first question is just a broad question for you guys up here. It's just to first introduce yourselves, your names, where you're from, you know, where you're representing, and also just to share your take on mental health from just your lens, your community lens, your cultural lens, whether it be personal experience or a group that you're representing. Yeah, if you take a moment just to introduce yourselves.
Hello, testing. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Noah Yared. Grew up in Los Angeles, California. I go to Dingulu Mariam. What else? What else did you say? I'm getting my MPH. Oh, this cut out. Can you guys hear me? Can I use my voice to project? Oh, it's back. I'm sorry. Getting my MPH. What's funny is I also did a project during my master's on mental health and substance abuse. I've related to a lot of what Dr. Woldegorgis had talked about in terms of substance abuse. I looked at different things like alcohol, marijuana, designer drugs, and it was kind of troubling because as I did it, I was also thinking about the diaspora in general, at least the Ethiopian diaspora, and how much we have stigma. I even was thinking about looking at maybe a data depository of aggregates of Ethiopians in general that have mental health. So I'm very interested in the developing field that he talked about, as well as just dispelling the stigma. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things that a lot of the youth probably have today. So before I talk on, I'll pass it on to the person next to me. So.
Hi. Hi everyone, my name is Tewahedo. I am a personal trainer and reside in San Diego, California. I'm really honored to be here. I'm a mom and I'm very passionate about youth mental health. It is one of the things that touches my heart personally, and when Sanait asked me to be here, I was delighted to come. I think, like most of us say, creating a space for youth and family and parents to bridge the stigma of mental health, that we're willing to speak on it, and to allow parents to more lessening
less judging, and for youth to feel safe, to be able to express, to be able to come to a grown-up, like parents or teachers, anyone in authority. That's really what I want to talk about, and I'm a business owner, I have business, and that's a personal things, but more importantly, I'm excited to be here and honored to share my story with you guys. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Loza Mulugeta. I am an employee right now, in between getting ready for a master's in special education. My connection to mental health is more so from the autism spectrum disorder background, but also because I'm so involved with people that are in the Abasha community and outside of the community that have mental health disorders and need more support. I think being up here and helping to address the stigma that's holding them back from getting assistance is really important. So if I can represent the people in my age group, I think it's good for me to be up here. Yeah, that's it.
Hi everyone, my name is Melikta Demse. I am also a student. I'm currently getting my master's in public policy. On the aspect of mental health, I also believe that it's a topic that's often swept under the rug in our community. And I think as a person who's experienced anxiety, when I first went to college, I didn't even know what it was. I was like, why do I keep getting sick every single day? And it's not something that was talked about when I was younger, or I didn't really know what it was. So I just want to be able to create a space where, not just in a community, but even in my personal space, or my friends and my family, to be able to talk about these issues.
Hello, my name is Yafet Fakada. I am a LA native. I am a student, but I'm currently taking a gap year, giving myself some time to prepare for the harder classes I have to take next. Not looking forward to it. I'm pretty simple. I just feel like it's important to be up here. I'm on the younger side for the youth, so I feel like I can, actually all three of us are. So I think we have good perspective on some of the more elementary levels of youth mental health. And yeah, that's about it.
Hi everyone, my name is Salam. I was actually born in Ethiopia, left when I was 2, and then moved to Italy and here. So I understand how it feels to come here in America at a young age. I am currently working. I've worked with kids in a foster care system, and I'm currently working with the homeless community right now. I am excited to have this discussion, to make conversations like this, to normalize it, so everybody can feel open to discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. So the first point of the first topic we're wanting to explore. Okay, the first topic we're wanting to explore more is communication. So if you would share your take on communication between youth and parents, whether that's challenges, gaps, what's good, what's been working, what's good, and also what's been a challenge from your understanding and experiences.
I guess I'll start since I have the mic. I think some of the things we talked about, it was talked about with the expert panel, allowing to have an open, free space for you to talk about, to discuss. But one thing that I thought about even when I was growing up is I didn't learn how to talk about my feelings. So I think that's a really key thing for youth that needs, so as we're growing up, we can have a better understanding of our emotion. Because in my situation, I think I grew up and thought about it and realized how I was feeling and what I was going through.
My take on this, in terms of trying to communicate with your parents, a lot of the time they're of an older generation, and there's a giant gap between them and us. We grew up in a completely different time. In school, we're talked about mental health, take care of yourself, right? Talk to a loved one, but going on to our parents, they didn't experience anything like that. They didn't get any of that teaching at a young age. So the best way that I found communicating is just being slow, like trying to explain as much. It's also on their part, because some people are more open to it, some people aren't. Depending on your situation, you could go to like another trusted person to help you, and things along those lines. But yeah.
I would say that I'm not a parent, I'm still young, but as a parent, it's important to establish like a line of communication early on. I know it's hard to like be able to find like the line between being a parent and being a friend, but I think establishing that line of communication early is important, because if your kids are not able to talk about your feelings or what they're going through with you at a young age, when they get older, it's not really going to change. So being able to be there for your kids and understanding what they're going through, and being able to be the person that they can go to when they're going through something, and having the feeling that, oh, if I tell my parents this, like, the first thing they're going to do is not punish me or yell at me. The first thing they're going to do is talk to me and help me. And then obviously if it's something that they need to have punishment for, I think it's important to understand that. And from like a personal perspective, I think it's important to understand that a lot of the times the things that you're going through, you're not the only person going through those things. So it's important to be able to go to your friends, go to like other people, and know that they also might have a different perspective on what you're going through, and they might be sharing an experience or the same experience as you are. So just knowing that you're not alone and being able to communicate your feelings with other people around you is really important.
I would say for me, like, not every household will be like this, but my mom came here when she was very young. She was 16, 15. So she had that like Western experience of teenagehood that I know a lot of Abasha like parents did not have. So she could understand, okay, like what's the big deal with prom? Like what is bullying, and is that even bullying? Like all those things that I feel like sometimes go over like some parents' heads, like she was able to understand because she had that experience. So it was very easy for me to go to her because I felt like she'd understand both the Western and the Abasha upbringing. But to talk about what Melikta said, I think it's so important that going home and telling your parents should be a safe option. I feel like a lot of kids in our community feel like it's not a safe option for them, and it's because usually they're met with shame or judgment, and parents have to do a better job at making communication with them a safe place. And I know it's not easy because there's the Western ideals and it's your Abasha roots, but you're raising an American, and I feel like keeping that in mind is really helpful to understanding where exactly your child is coming from.
I guess I forgot to mention that I grew up in Eritrea, moved to America age 13. So I kind of felt like I'm like your mom. But I think for me is the difference between parent and child is that having to have a safe home where a child could just be themselves, where a parent should let that child be themselves. I'm a mom now and I understand that, right? And outside, Habesha kids are living two, right? The outside world and the home world, they're torn apart. They're trying to fit in to the Western side, and they come home, they're trying to conform to their parents, what they're telling them. But at the same time, there's no understanding between that. So then the children or the kids or young adult end up becoming depressed and hiding things from their parents because they're not safe. I experienced that. As a 13-year-old, who I couldn't express my emotions. I didn't feel safe at home. I met with name calling, throwing things on me, and all I did was shut down. My feeling, my opinion means nothing. My home is not safe, outside world is not safe. So then what did I do? I shut down completely. I was depressed. I start to hate myself for making a decision to move to America. Now, I was grateful and thankful that I had grown-up adult Americans to save my life and my little sister. So for that, I was raised by American family, which was amazing. But at the same time, I never fit in with my community that looked like me because I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt judged. I felt like I didn't know how to behave. I didn't fit in like you guys had experience growing up in churches and with your community. I didn't have that until recently, which is a beautiful thing. I'm a lot older than you guys, but I'm learning to love who I am again. And that's why speaking about this is so important to me. And creating a safe space for youth and parents. You're not weak for listening to your children. That doesn't make you less than a parent. You're doing amazing with what you're given. I understand that. And let your child tell you how they feel and make them feel safe at home so that we can create an environment, we can avoid this trauma, we can stop all this losing kids. So I say this, that it's not too late. We can change, we can learn. This is how we can change it, by sharing, by removing the stigma. Thank you.
So I think I'll just speak on my experience, just kind of borrowing off what Yafet and Loza had mentioned. I think it's important to establish with your child that the goal of the conversation is for your child to get better, right? It's not to be like, oh, just clean your room. Oh, just, go play outside. Maybe you've been in the house for too long. I think it's a lot more deeper than that, especially. And even if you don't have the insight in particular, there is something wrong, and that should be acknowledged in those conversations. I mean, as a child, I didn't have the best mental health, to be honest with everybody here. I would say that I struggled a lot with expressing that language and that concern to my parents. They didn't really understand that, and I was kind of met with like, go outside, maybe you need to be with your friends, or you're spending too much time on that phone, get off the phone, things of that nature. I would say it amplified the most going to college. I went to college at a state in Michigan, so there was a lot of white people completely different from me. So these problems that I had from childhood, from like being like a teenager and then becoming a young adult, kind of compounded. And it was very hard for me to navigate. So I really understood what you were coming from in particular. I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what depression was. I was far away from home from my parents. I was on a completely different part of the country. I would say what saved me the most was actually my physics teacher. He noticed that I wasn't doing well in my classes. He noticed that I wasn't coming to classes. I was stuck in my dorm. I would just sit there. I would rot in bed. I didn't know what to do with myself. And he told me, like, do you have seasonal depression, Noah? And I was like, depression? What's that? I don't know what that is. Like, I just gotta like get up and move around. Well, it was a lot deeper than that. Turns out I had a vitamin D deficiency. In turn, that caused me to have depression-like symptoms, like I couldn't get out of bed and things of that nature. So I talked to a therapist, and then I told my mother, who came and visited me, she said, oh, like, I've noticed that you're not doing well in your classes. And I said, the first thing I'm doing is I'm seeing a therapist. I'm not well. If I'm not well in my head, how am I supposed to learn this material, right? So it's important that even if you don't understand what your child is going through, I think it's important to acknowledge the pain that they are suffering, right? First and foremost. And even if you don't know the steps that they're taking, at least be supportive, saying, oh, how was therapy? Was everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? And on top of that, even when you are going to therapy, I think it's also good to work on, what your therapist had meant to, like, what they put out for you. Like they said, okay, today, like, after this session, write down how you're feeling and see what you could change. And these are manageable steps that you can do. I mean, I go in and out of therapy all the time. So it's good to acknowledge that, and it's good to work on yourself and be honest with yourself at the same time. That's the most important. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. I hear a lot of communication, understanding, like just approaching things from a non-judgmental stance. And I love how you said like it's so important to simply ask someone like, how can I help you? Sometimes I think we're very quick to say, here's what you need, here's what you need to do. But sometimes we just, as I think someone mentioned, right? We have two ears, one mouth. Like listening, right? Active listening, attuning to someone, validating what they're going through. That's so important. So thank you guys for just being brave with your stories and communicating that today. Thank you. So the next just topic of conversation is around identity, social expectations, peer pressure. So as you guys feel in your hearts to just share any stories, experiences that how has like peer pressure, social expectation, cultural differences. I know someone you mentioned bullying. These different experiences around your identity. How have they affected you or people you may know? You. If you mind sharing a little bit.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk someone having a negative input. And I know in our community, we don't see it as negative. We see it as like, oh, I'm gonna help you, like, like, I'm giving you advice. But sometimes there's that negative connotation and a sense of judgment, and that's not really fun to experience. So when you wonder about why your child is not coming to church or refuses to share things with you, it's because there's a comparison aspect and there's a judgment aspect. I know growing up, I'm sure Malikta and I, like, we've heard a lot like, oh, Malikta does this. Loza, why aren't you doing it? Loza, Malikta does this, why aren't you doing it? And like, at first it's funny, and then after it's like, wow, I'm not as good as Malikta. I'm not as good as Yafet. Like, and then it becomes like an identity issue. And now I don't like myself because they're doing better and that's all my mom can talk about, you know? That never happened with me. But like, I'm just saying, this is what happens and like, this is what people experience. So when you think about like bringing up something that's happened, really think about how you're wording it. I know sometimes we want to tell our kids these things because we want them to succeed the same way. But your child is not going to want to do what Malikta does. Your child doesn't want to do what anyone else does. They want to do what they want to do. And it's your job as a parent to guide them and support them and direct them into the right direction, not compare them to so-and-so's daughter or son all the time. Because now you're creating a confidence and self-esteem issue, and that's going to translate not just into their social life, but in their professional ventures. So keep that in mind, please.
Yeah, I agree with everything Liz said. To add to that, I feel like this is like a normal immigrant experience, but like putting a lot of expectation on yourself, including the ones that your community or your parents do. I think like a lot of people my age are like, oh, my parents came to this country, so I have to like do the best that I can, and I have to be a doctor, be an engineer, be a lawyer, which is not everyone's path. So I think like as a youth to understand that like not everyone's path is the same. If you don't want to be a doctor, don't be a doctor. Like maybe you don't like being a doctor. And understanding that, again, that comparison, like someone else having a straight line path of like going to college and getting a degree and then getting a job straight out of college, that's not really what everyone's life path looks like, and that's not what everyone's life path should look like. So being able to understand that, yes, there are a lot of expectations that people set for themselves and that society and their community sets for themselves, but also understanding that it's okay to like take a step back and like take a gap year and figure out what you want to do with your life, what you like, what you don't like, because your career is something that you have to do for the rest of your life, and your parents won't be there for the rest of your life, so you're gonna be the one that has to deal with that.
So understanding yourself and doing things for yourself and not because of the social expectations that exist.
As a youth, I highly agree with with what they said. I'll start mine off with an example, specifically in the church setting. A lot of the times kids get comments, right? Those I was talking about. Sometimes they'll come up to you and do this. And I see sometimes some of the older generation, at least, they lose what actually matters. To put it in young people terms, they lose the plot. As in this Sunday, I was at church and I had a different hairstyle then. I had twists in. Initially, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that looks good on you, that looks good on you." You know, amazing. But there was one person, they came up to me and I was passing out sabad, or I was passing out holy water to the congregation. And in the middle of my work, after I helped her, she came up to me, she saw my hair, and she kind of just went off a little bit. She was like, "Oh," like, she was acting like I was leaving the faith, even though I was in the middle of an act showing my faith. So luckily there was plenty of people around me that had already showed support, so it didn't affect me as much. I just realized it was a one-off comment. It was meant in goodwill, but especially when you're a child, and I'm an adult, but when you're a child, you don't have as much self-confidence and assurance as you probably would have. So that's about that. And a second one, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, second one, stressors are very important for the youth. I'm in school, I'm taking a gap year. That's pretty frowned upon. Like every time when I tell somebody I'm taking a gap year, their face kind of drops, because then they just assume you're gonna leave. That type of response to situations like these is pretty detrimental to like the mind state of a child. Everybody wants their kid to go to college. They want them to do like the typical 4 years, graduate, get a job, live life. That's not how the current state of the world is, at least. Me, community college is not Orthodox, all right? Most people want their kids to go to university. I want community college. It's very reasonable to do that, but a lot of people are lacking an understanding in that regard. So then they'll project that onto you, and then now I have to bear the weight of what they're saying. And it's kind of just back and forth, because then they'll tell you, and then I have to sit with it, I have to reason with it. And for the adults who do understand, it's very important to be supportive and understanding. If you immediately don't understand something, you kind of just don't say anything, right? Just be curious, be open-minded. We're taught that a lot in Western society. Be open-minded, not everybody's the same. Everybody has different majors. They want you to do doctor, lawyer, whatever, right? But when I tell them, like, I'm gonna be a nurse, right? They think that's below doctor. But really, that's a perfectly solid option to go to, right? That's the better one, honestly. But yeah, it's things like those, being, like, saying stuff, even if they think it's good intentioned, coming off completely differently, missing what truly matters, right? The inside, like the mental state of a child, they don't think about that a lot. And yeah, just being mindful.
I love what you just said. It's so incredibly amazing. And he's so young, right? I think in our community, what I've experienced in church, I recently started coming into Orthodox church. I was away. Everything about our culture, it's not that I despise, I just didn't feel like I was good enough to be in. I was always Orthodox, I always believed in God. But culturally, I was just felt not welcome. Anyways, my mother came, my biological mother moved to America, and I'm learning all about our culture, including the language. And so I would start going to church with my little girl, who is 6 now, and it was church almost over. I had this lady come to me. I know them, but I don't know them, right? She whispers, and she goes, I have something to tell you. I was like, great, what is it? I got excited. And she goes, you need to stop posting stuff on Facebook. I saw what you do. It's not, to clarify, I'm the first Eritrean woman to ever do bodybuilding. I'm very proud of it. And I use this, thank you. I use this because Eritrean women are not just carrying, bearing children, we're more than that. And so do Ethiopian women too. I'm very proud of it, I'm very outspoken about it. So she whispers that in my ear, and I looked at her, I said, oh, thank you for your opinion, and I appreciate it. I walked away. A week later, my daughter, I'm very protective of my daughter, and I want her to learn, because I don't want no trauma on my child, and I don't want anybody telling how they're telling you. So, same lady comes, she doesn't want to go to the youth service. She goes, I don't understand it, mommy, I want to be with you. And this lady want to force her to be in the youth part. And I said, no, she's going to be with me, and she's fine. She goes, Situhuena ta'abila. The same lady, I hold my tongue, and I said, okay. And I told her, and I said,
What you said just now? Sorry.
oh, Siti means like she's growing up being disrespectful, like a child, a 6-year-old. So I told her, I said, I really appreciate it if you could just back up. Ever since then, I just distanced myself from that person, right? But a lot of youth, I'm very, I'm able to communicate now. I'm not that little girl anymore, so I can easily defend myself. My child cannot. And I'm very proud of you for having this emotional, to be able to express yourself to your parents or somebody that's adult, but not everybody is able to do that. And so we need to be mindful. We're keeping our youth away from our culture, our belief system, faith, and so that's why I'm sharing this, is that to be open. You never know what you say hurts someone. You never know what somebody else is going through. You don't know somebody else's story. You don't know what they have been through, most importantly. So as a grown-up, I would suggest, highly suggest, to stop criticizing people. Instead, let's lean into with curiosity.
They might be the best at whatever they want to become. I'm a little bit older than Yafet and them over here, so I can definitely say that I think as I grew up in the church, I would say I was compared to against, oh, this person's got like straight A's and a 4.8 GPA. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I have like a 3.2, 3.4, 3.5. Dang it, man. Like, so it's a lot of the times it's like, I'm not doing better than them. They're going to this school, they're going to that school. And I feel like that drove a lot of people away from the church. I drove a lot of people away from the community in general because we're just being judged. Someone's being put on a pedestal, someone's being talked about. And so I think in terms of reconciliation and coming back and, undoing any harm, I think it's a matter of like just showing support. We're supposed to be a community, right? Not somewhat like people comparing each other. I think this is we're supposed to be pillars of our community, helping people up, helping each other up. So that's all I wanted to say.
Just to piggyback with what you just said, I think our community, we raise our kid being overprotective to where we don't allow them to experience different things. And I think that takes away from creating their identity or even having an identity crisis because they've been sheltered. And obviously what you said, Noah, obviously raised them with guidance and care, but also giving them a little bit of freedom to adventure and figure out who they are.
Guys, again for sharing. I kind of hear though that like a lot of the identity, discuss the comparison, kind of comes from within the community. You haven't really shared on like coming from the outside, but that's your experiences, either coming from family or from your local communities, whether church, your faith community. So I think that's very eye-opening, and I love just your guys' encouragement to lean in, to listen, lean in with curiosity, not be quick to judge others. And it is so true. The people closest to us, our our family, our communities, they shape our identity, what we think about ourselves, what we say to ourselves. Oftentimes the voices we hear in our mind that speaks of our identity is the people closest to us, you know. So thank you guys for sharing that. I want to move into just our last topic here, which kind of talks about prevention and solutions. Some of you guys have touched on it a little bit, but if you would mind sharing just any thoughts on solutions, any encouragement that you would have. We've talked a lot about some of the problems being faced, but any proactive solutions, things that have worked, maybe in your family, with your parents, in your communities, what has worked, what can help? If you guys can share on that.
I guess I'll start it off. Probably the only thing that comes to mind right now is be open. I know we've said this already, but be open and curious yourself, but also, like she said, allowing that for your child, because this is our first time living. Same for you, but this is also your first time probably guiding life, being a parent, right? So you can't expect the same thing to work every time. A child will grow, so will you, right? That's just the nature of how we are. But yeah, like being curious, being open, letting them do that, but also your role is to prepare them for when you're gone, right? So being able to at least instill principles, even if it looks different, right? Like making sure that they have the proper principles, making sure they know their culture, things like that, for even when you're gone, it still lives with them, right? And even if it looks a little bit different, because we grew up here, right? At the end of the day, the core values are still the same.
Okay, so to continue on the topic of being open, I want to touch a little bit on mutual respect between parent and child. I know, we're always taught like, ታላቅን ማክበር አለብን, right? And that's a true thing. I still think that. But we also have to respect the opinion that the child is bringing to us too, because that's what's going to help create the safe environment. I know that I have some of our friends that tell me like, oh, the things you talk about with your mom, I could never. And I'm like, why? Like, why not? And it's because it doesn't feel safe, like their opinion won't be respected. And I know sometimes we feel like, oh, like they're the parent, they need to do the effort, but the effort relies on us to be active participants as well. I feel like when I address things with my mom, like, I'm sure she's tired of me. I'm always like, okay, mom, can you tell me this? Can you tell me this? Because I'm trying to learn her. Because like Yafet said, it's their first time living too. It's her first life. It's her first time being a mom. And it takes me to understand her and her to understand me equally so that it can be a healthy household. So as much as we give the parents respect, I feel like they should also respect the child and the opinion that they're bringing towards them so that it's one happy, healthy household.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I feel like I kind of mentioned it before, but understanding that like you're not alone in the things that you go through, and whether it's like you're going to your family, your parents, your friends, understanding that people are there to help you, and there is somebody that you can talk to. And I think, someone mentioned it earlier, but I also have like a hard time like sharing how I feel and being emotional. I feel like Loza, as my friend, knows that. And so one thing is like writing things down. If you're not ready to share something, just write it down. Or I do like video journals, so the photo booth on your computer, just record yourself talking, because being able to say something out loud to yourself is then gonna help you say it out loud to your friends or to your family. So just being able to understand that you can lean on other people and that you're not alone in whatever you're going through, there's gonna be somebody out there that can help you with that.
You guys are amazing. You took all the words, but one thing I wanted to say is to the parents, just because, first of all, we should be able to get all of us therapy. We all need it, you know. We all need it. And it's okay. It's okay if you have to say, you know what, I feel depressed. You know what, I need therapy. You know what, I need medication. The worst thing we could do is hide it. Then we don't get the problem solved, like they said, right? But one thing for the parents that I want to say is, just because you're listening, that doesn't mean you're weak, okay? You're just creating a safe space for your child to be honest with you, to explain, to express their feelings, their emotions, their mental health state. So by you allowing your child to tell you, you're just making that child feel more safe. And so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I think I can talk about solutions and probably prevention strategies. Besides like being open and honest, I think this might be coming towards like the children. Like any disease, like any condition, I think it needs to be worked at also. I think it also needs to have like veritable progress and steps that you can take. I won't say I'm not a clinician, like a clinical psychologist. You know, I'm just a person who's gone through the steps and the motions. So I'll talk about what I have gone through. My therapist, every time we're done with like a long session, you know, I'll probably cry. I'll probably talk about something that happened years ago and things of that nature. But at the end, what I liked what my therapist did is they always ask me a question. They ask me a question on like, why do you think like this? Or what makes you think these preconceived notions that you have about yourself are there? Like, what are the root problems like? And she challenged me a lot of my own like self-esteem, my images, like the image of myself, why I thought people didn't like me a certain way, or why I didn't get like the approval from certain people. And I think each week I used to just sit down and write everything out. Like, I think a lot of the times the stuff that's in our heads, a lot of the times, it takes a lot of bandwidth. A lot of like, it's hard for you to think, right? Like you have these thoughts that are in the back of the head, like you can throw them on the back burner for a while, but it's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. It's gonna burn you and everyone around you. So for me personally, I wrote everything out. And once I got to that next week, once I made it to that next week, I read everything. I would write 5, 6, 7, 8 pages of just, this is why I'm feeling like this. This is why I'm having trouble thinking, sleeping at night. This is why, like, et cetera, et cetera. And oftentimes, if I find myself in this loop of like, oh, I'm going back into it, I go back to this journal that I have and I read what I wrote. I'll read what happened. I'll read how I felt at that moment, and it helped me realize, I would say, the patterns that I fall into. Like, I know now that like around the winter time, I'm gonna feel a little bit depressed. I'll be honest with y'all. It's a little bit difficult. But I can go back and I can read, okay, Noah, like, okay, it's around that time. Be a little bit nicer to yourself. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to, you know, be super active. Just take it easy. Like, seriously, take it easy. So I think for the youth out there, as you know, you go through the motions to help yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, things of that nature. It's important, you know, to go through these steps, but also, you know, to keep track and to like work towards it. Like anything, it's not going to happen immediately. It's not just you going to therapy and coming back. I think it's also important that within ourselves also, if we have that desire to change also and like get better, and that takes a long time. It's not going to happen immediately. This is me going, you know, I think I did like 3 years of therapy in and out. I'll do like 6 months, I'll feel better, and then I would say 6 months later I'd be like, oh, I'm having those thoughts. Let's get back. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a continual cycle. You'll deal with it for the rest of your life. This is not like a one and done thing. I think it should be taken seriously. Like you go to the gym to get better, to get physically stronger. You go to the hospital to get, you know, your health up. This is something that you also need to work at. And this is just something I wanted to say.
Thank you guys for sharing. More?
Is that the last discussion point?
Yeah, it is. Thank you. One more for it.
You want to say anything? You don't have to.
Sure. Okay. It's okay. I guess I'll share one of my own personal experience, which was right after high school. I moved to Arizona for college. And I was telling our panelists earlier, I remember after maybe the third week, just like wanting to be with, like having a conversation or hanging out with someone that actually knew me, because I was at a new state, I didn't have any family, and everybody that I was meeting was brand new. And luckily I was able to, have friends and transition, but I think one of the solutions will be maybe having something for like high schoolers, like to help with that transition, because especially if you're moving out of state or you move in a different state, like your support group is gone and you're literally by yourself with people you don't know. So I think that could be part of, a solution to it.
It was brought in the second discussion, but we all forgot about it. This is to help you guys as parents. Peer pressure. It looks completely different than what you guys probably think it is. It's not somebody coming up to you and being like, here, try it, until you try it. It's more so being left out. From my experience, it was, I knew several people who would underage drink, right? They weren't 21, but they were still drinking. And they would offer it to me, and I'd be like, no, I'm okay. And they'd say, okay. And then they would leave. And then now everybody's there doing their, and I'm here by myself, not interacting with them, not partaking in those activities. And it makes you think, no, maybe I should. I wasn't like that, luckily. But it's from you guys, my parents were able to instill that, like, especially in topics like substance abuse, substance use. It was very much like letting the child know from an early age, right? Not just like, bam, nothing, right? They would explain, they're like, okay, this is this, da-da-da. They would help me understand what this was about in the first place. So for me, I saw alcohol as like social, and I wasn't overage, so I was like, I'm not gonna try it. And it's a social thing. Other people in the Western culture, they don't drink to be social, they drink to be drunk. And that's completely different from the way everybody here drinks, for the most part. I don't know. But you should be able to instill. It's hard, it's kind of abstract, but try your best to like instill in them like I don't need to do what they're doing to try to fit in, right? Those who like you for you will like you, and those who don't hang out with you just because you don't partake in the same activities won't, and that's okay. So making sure your child understands that, which is honestly a hard job, so I applaud you guys for trying, but yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on what Yafet said and what Noah said, and they're connected, so it'll work out. Earlier, I brought up how you guys are raising American children. Oh, okay. Okay, so something that's very Western and that my mom tells me all the time, she's like, you Americans, you only care about yourself. And then when you comes from an Abasha community standpoint, everyone's in each other's business, whether it's good or bad. And so you have community at home, and then you go out in America, no one cares about you, or in the way that you would think. Everything's very surface level. And I feel like being able to balance that healthily is what gives you like a nice little equilibrium for your mental. Community is good, but if you're always thinking about other people, if you're always trying to please other people, a lot of people at our age complain that they grew up as people pleasers because they cared so much about what people thought about themselves and what people thought about their parents. And I feel like being able to separate that and be like, okay, I need to take care of me, and then I will take care of the community, is very important. And to go to what Noah mentioned earlier, it is on the child to do that inner work. My mom always told me, it's so funny, she said, karas balay nafas. And like, it's so funny to me, I don't know. But it's true, like, if I'm not at my best, then I'm not gonna be giving that to anybody else. I work with kids. If I go to school and I'm just like, ugh, they're gonna be like, oh, well, Miss doesn't want to be here. And now I just ruined their learning experience. And I'm just one teacher, but they're gonna think about that. So kids, they're so malleable. Their brains are like sponges. If you just one day just put this idea like, you need to care for everybody else, then they're not gonna take time to take care of themselves. So it's important for the child to really sit back, do their inner work, journal. As someone who has tried therapy, it's not gonna work the first time. You might get a therapist you do not like, and it sucks, but you have to try again. There's outlets where you can find just Black or African American therapists, people of color. If the first lady I had, she literally told me, what you're feeling is not real. And I was like, wow, okay. That's not true. And I told my mom, and she was like, okay, well, if you want to, find somebody else. And she made it easy for me to tell her that. So I think just keeping that in mind, children, is that like half the pressure has to be on yourself too. Because as much as you can explain how you feel to other people, at the end of the day, you're the one going home and dealing with your own thoughts, dealing with your own feelings. And if you can't express that even to yourself, then you can't be able to use the help that is being given to you. So be open-minded for children as well.
Thank you guys so much. That was a lot of insight, a lot of helpful just experiences and tools that were shared as well. And something that I gather from what you're saying is that, especially for parents, this thought came to me that hurt people, right? So it's that you have to take account of your own mental health, your own trauma, and have self-awareness, right, before you're able to help others. So thank you for sharing your guys' experience. Can we just give them a round of applause?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause again, including all moderators and Shelly. Appreciate it so much. Yes, we've heard a lot from them, and something we should instill in ourselves as parents, guardians as well. It's very important to make that communication. They point out one thing is very clear. There's always the communication gap, which our experts touched on a lot. So we have a lot of work to do from their end, as well as our end. Yes, it's very important to really, know about your culture, right? Your roots. It's also, but you also have to make it work with the current country we live in and the culture we live in. Even more so, there's a good way in terms of in the spiritual case, there's a good way to connect this. So we have more discussion to come. The best is yet to come. We're going to take about 10 minutes recess now for break. We're going to come back. Please do not go anywhere because the best is yet to come. And we're going to hear from the experts. We're going to have some Q&A at the end. So this is our first session. I know it's getting late, but remember we started late, so we're not stealing any time from anyone. We just utilizing our time. Just to be mindful, some of our experts, they flew from the East Coast, and they put their schedule on the side to come be with us. So I hope we'll be all respectful. We're going to be taking about 10 minutes break. Let's use the restroom, get some refreshment. We're going to come back. Thank you again.
አፉዝ ሙመር ነኝ ከሬሜዲ ታክስ ሰርቪስስ። የ2026 የታክስ ወቅት ደርሷል። እንግዲህ የታክስ ግግታቶች በየጊዜው ይቀያየራሉ። ዘንድሮ ትንሽ ለየት የሚያደርገው የፕሬዝዳንት ትራምፕ አዲሱ የዋን ቢግ ቢዩቲፉል ቢል አክት በመተግበሩ ምክንያት የተወሰኑ ለውጦች ሊኖሩ ይችላሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚገመተው። ሐሳብ ግን ያግባውት እኛ በአይአርኤስ የሚሰጠውን ከፍተኛ የሙያ ብቃት መለኪያ የሆነውን የኢንሮልድ ኤጀንት ስታተስ ስላለን ህጉን ለእናንተ በሚገባ መልኩ በቀላሉ አስረድተን ታክሶትም በሚገባ ሁኔታ እንሰራለን። ይምጡ።
በጥቂቱ ኢንዲቪጁዋል ታክስ ሪተርን እንሰራለን፣ ፓርትነርሺፕ እንሰራለን፣ ሲ ኮርፕ፣ ኤስ ኮርፕ፣ ነን ፕሮፊት እንሰራለን። ይምጡ።
እኛ ጋር ስትመጡ ያለንን ሰዓታችንን ወስደን ሁሉንም ኢንፎርሜሽን ሰብስበን ያለውን አሟጠን ነው የምናመጣላችሁ።
ቢሮአችን አመቱን ሙሉ ከሰኞ እስከ ቅዳሜ ክፍት ነው።
ሜናንዳ ለኢትዮጵያውያን በኢትዮጵያውያን የተሰናዳ ሜናንዳ የኢትዮጵያ ምርት ጅምላ አከፋፋይ በሰሜን አሜሪካና ካናዳ የኢትዮጵያ የባልትና ውጤቶችንና ልዩ ልዩ ምርቶችን በጥራትና በብቃት በማስመጣት ለኢትዮጵያውያን እንደምናቀርብ ስንገልጽ በታላቅ ኩራት ነው። ለመኖሪያ ቤቶ ቢሉ ለአበሻ መደብር፣ ለድግስ ቢሉ ለተለያዩ አገልግሎቶች የሚውሉ ምርጥ የባልትና ውጤቶችን ማግኘት ቢፈልጉ ሜናንዳን ምርጫው ያድርጉ። ከምናስመጣቸው የባልትና ውጤቶች መካከል ጤፍ እንጀራ፣ ቆጮ፣ ቆሎ፣ ሲዳሞ ቡና፣ ዳቦ ቆሎ፣ የጤፍ ዱቄት፣ በርበሬ፣ ድርቆሽን ጨምሮ የኢትዮጵያ ባህላዊ ይዘት ያላቸውን መሶብ፣ ጀበና፣ የክትፎ ጣባ፣ ሲኒና ረከቦት የመሳሰሉ ምርቶችን እንደ ፍላጎትና ምርጫው በራሳችን አሽከርካሪዎች ትእዛዞ በደረሰን በ36 ሰዓት ጊዜ ካሉበት በፍጥነትና በቅልጥፍና እናደርሳለን። ሜናንዳ ለኢትዮጵያውያን በኢትዮጵያውያን የተሰናዳ ሜናንዳ።
ታሪኩ ነኝ ከሚኒሶታ። ሁሌ ሮብ ከኢትዮጵያ እንጀራ፣ ቆጮ እንዲሁም ሌሎች ባልትና ውጤቶች የሚይዞላችሁ ይቀርባል። ኢንቨንቶሪያችን ፉል ነው። የፕሮዳክት እጥረት የለብንም። ደውሉልን 612-986-1070 ወይም ሜናንዳ.com ብላችሁ ብትገቡ እኛን ታገኙናላችሁ።
Okay, welcome back. Let's take our seats, please. Let's go back to our seats. Thank you. Yes.
Sanay, you can use the projector. You guys get rid of projector? Projector ተጠቀማላችሁ?
I know.
Is it something I can put right here? Can you lift it up a little bit? Sorry. So they can use this. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, please let's get started. Please go back to your seats. All right, please go back to your seats. Thank you. Please go back to your seats. Okay, we're gonna get started. Thank you. We're gonna jump into our third and final discussion now. Also, I may mention that we do have attorney Daniel IIA. So if you guys need any, it's a free support and information about immigration. Our attorney Daniel is right here. If you go back to the registration table over there, you can make an appointment with him. You can talk to him as well. I just want to point that out. And we're gonna go to call to action, the last discussion that we're gonna have. And I'm gonna ask our beloved sister Sanai to come up here. She is the presidency of African Coalition. She is the backbone to this gathering here today. Yes, she's not new to our community. She's not new to this sort of gathering. So I'm going to hand it over to her. Where's the night? Yes, please. Let's put our hands together for her.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. We did today. We did it together. It's just a start. I just want to cover the very last one, very important. We talk more. We have heard so much from the young stars. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Put us in shame. Sometimes I pinch myself. Oh my God. My daughter just texts me, yeah. Every time you say something, she say, yeah. She texts me. So that was bad. So, you know, the first thing we have done for this situation, you know what's going on in our community. The reason we had to come together is becoming more sad, not sad, dangerous. It feels like it's contagious. Every time we bury someone, we hear something, even as a professional. It scares every one of us. It's knocking everybody's door. So we have to do something. It's not something we have to do everything, but at least we can do something what we can. That's the reason why we're here together. And believe it or not, we won. If you show up, that's the first success. That's what Dr. G told me. If you show up, that's your first success. Now you guys showed up. You took your time because you're concerned, you care. The rest is all together collectively. No one is going to achieve alone. That's the reason we say you're not alone. Talking about you're not alone, we're not going to do this by ourselves. As you see it, we have a lot of nonprofit organizations, brave individuals, community partners, social groups, individuals. So today, what we say, and then what's next? What's now? We talk about it, we raise awareness. We've done this since 2010. Some of you know, you understand. We all do this, whether at a church or a social group, everywhere. So we have something to offer, at least, planning to do something. But before that, we'd like to know who's our partner, which, as you see it at the back, there is the Department of Mental Health County with us. That's big. This is a suicide program component. So I would like to, without further ado, I would like to welcome, please help me to join us, Mr. Franklin from Department of Mental Health and Prevention Division. She will explain to us how do we partner with the public entity, such as Department of Mental Health. Please welcome Mr. Franklin.
Thank you very much. So at the back, at that table, we have a couple of resources for you all. I want to first talk about the suicide prevention hotlines that we have in the back. These are numbers that individuals can call when there are, in a crisis, and we have them specific, some by age group. If you flip the page back, this is specific to after a death in the community, after someone has died by suicide. So these are the agencies and community resources that we have, which can help navigate, some of the feelings and the grief and the loss that we feel when a loved one dies by suicide. And this is important because today we heard how it is important to break cycles. It is important to have growth, and it is important to find connection even when we are in pain. And so just as a reminder, if you Google the LA Suicide Prevention Network.org, we also have this pamphlet in the back. It provides you a bit of information about what's going on in LA County, including how to access trainings that are free to faith-based communities, organizations. And so we do provide virtual trainings for free. And we have interpreters as well that can help translate into various different languages. And we're here, and the number to call is also in the back here, 1-800-854-7771. You can call and you can inquire about services, mental health services, and besides training, we also have our annual Suicide Prevention Summit, And this year, it's going to be at Pasadena City College. And if you go to LASuicidePreventionNetwork.org, you'll see more information about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Please give him applause because they were here since 2 o'clock in the afternoon with us. That means a lot on Saturday afternoon. We really appreciate your partnership. We'll continue to connect with you to the further training sessions. We really needed that. Thank you again. Okay. So as I said earlier, some of you really have the same question as I am. What's next? What are we going to do from here? Are we going to hear another raising awareness community gathering, or what else? What does that make a difference for us? We came up with an idea, which Dr. G is going to explain what is the prevention component. But at least now, for now, the third component, we have few individuals, great individuals who's already been doing this work individually, is also willing to be part of this, I'd say, journey. In other words, like when we try to implement or increase the awareness, whatever it might be, or the social support group. So I would like to invite them, calling the name. If you guys come up and just introduce yourself. We have a little badge for you, right? So I have Salome. Salome is Loza's mother, who is referring her. Salome, please come up. We have Meta Sevilla. We have Ainalim Tadese. We have Yori Tishetu. We have Saiful Gese, as I see you guys. Who else is here? Oh, we have Zavid. Zavid is, she's really a great sister. For the Muslim community, she's trying to do the best and she's reaching out and teaching. Please come up, Zavid. Who else is here? Oh, we have Mekdes Gabru. Mekdes has been working with our community in the past, and she still continues to do that. Well, Dimbo, Ainalim Ayaleo. Where are you? Okay, who else? Who else is I'm missing, please? Those of you who has a volunteer name badge, we gave you this because I just want to introduce them, because first I have to acknowledge, appreciate. They say yes if I ask them, will you be part of this process? In other words, we're going to be doing some intervention or early prevention session and to choose those ladies here. That will continue. Those people is going to be like the ambassador of the community with the appropriate training session. Elizabeth, come on up. You haven't tagged. Why are you sitting there? So that's what we're going to be. Salam is part of it as well. So as I say, the plan is we will have Dr. Chella is going to let you know how the plan looks like, but at least we're planning. We will have 2 sets of groups. This will be adult and caregiver, come on in, and also the youth. The youth will have sustain this energy and bring more youth to come. We're going to be organizing, our job will be supporting from the back and empowering what intent to start. So I would like to say thank you so much for your empowerment, your energy and inspiration, and also your heart and your willingness to serve the community. This is the people who've been supporting us while we're organizing all this little gathering. So thank you so much. Please clap and applause. There is some, but also as we go through this process, just to let you know, we'll be welcoming you, those of you who are willing to contribute this process, be very happy and an honor to join us. Tomorrow, as we speak, this young ladies and the youth group is going to meet us in the afternoon in a private session. We'll go detailing what we'd like to do. This included how we're going to be partner with other states such as DC, Atlanta, everywhere. This is not just our issue, it's everybody's issue. So we're trying to engage everyone who needs our help. But at least LA is to start, always, right? So we're going to be meeting with these young ladies, and as I said, the youth. Dr. G was going to tell us what does the plan look like in the future, and that includes with the youth. More so, this is their community supporter group, such as social support or also organizer. But the ultimate goal is inspire, empower what we heard from the youth, which we're going to provide a lot of activities they use to become independent and do their own way, their own things. With that, we will have all the faith-based organizations, St. Mary, Virgin Mary, PICO, like Christian Protestant Church of the PICO, or the Christian Fellowship. Unfortunately, they're not here today, represented by Shelley. Thank you. Some other churches will be included. Of course, the Muslim community, Masjid Salam, King Fouad Masjid, and also the one in Vermont. We're working, partnering with them, because this is everybody's problem. This is Ethiopian and Eritrean thing, so we try to be inclusive as much as we can. So this is just a start. Congratulations, they made the first step, but we have so much to hear from the youth and work to do. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Now, thank you. Those of you who are willing to join us, we'll be very happy to join you. You can connect with me and I can take your information. We can add you. We can always convey so much with this. So we'll be very appreciative if you will. Now, help me to welcome the one and only, my mentor, the good person, Dr. Terla, who's going to explain to her what does it look like, the prevention program we have. Thank you. And after this, as I said, we encourage you to write the questions. Jocelyn have collect them. We'll go through the, Assis was gonna read the questions, and we're gonna be directing whoever's gonna be the answer to this question for you, okay? Thank you, Doctor. Here, Dr. Teller.
You know, I have to bring her back, because, what, 10 years ago?
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years ago, she was part of my trainee here. How time flies. Can you give me that? The green one. Yeah. Look, in terms of mental health and substance abuse, I have been doing this for the past 45 years, and let me tell you what I learned. Yes, we have a lot of problems. We have been talking about problems after problems after problems, right? Everybody acknowledges that. Nobody's going to save us. The only person that's going to save us is ourselves, period. Don't expect any help from anybody, because everybody's desperate. So my reminder to you is, we have the asset, we have the motivation, we've got the culture, we've got the knowledge, we've got the education. So what's missing? What's missing is our commitment to make a difference in each other's lives. Believe me, it's going to come to your own homes and it's going to knock. And nobody's going to be spared and nobody's going to save you. You know, I started training. Actually, I was in Los Angeles, whether you believe it or not, in 1984, which is 40 years ago. The first time I came to train. And those were the refugee resettlement workers, Lutheran Social Services, Catholic Charities, World Council of Churches, and so forth. And you know, what I did was, for those resettlement workers, for them to understand the refugee experience, the cross-cultural issues, adjustment difficulties, and so forth. These were the resettlement workers. Spent in 10 different cities 40 years ago helping the resettlement workers. 12 years ago or something, you know, I came here and worked with you, around 20 of you or 25 of you? 25. And then we worked together with the second generation, saying that, how do you become an effective helper? You think of, everybody thinks you're good listeners, correct? I've got news for you. You've got a lot of learning to do. There is such a thing as hearing, listening, and active listening. When the person that you're talking to feels they are being understood, they are being listened to. And then also I was talking to Cassis. In fact, I brought him. Can you hold that? I brought him. We were discussing. I brought him this work that we did with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church in Ethiopia. I went 3 times there, so that the church can get involved with HIV/AIDS issues, because they are effective helpers. We developed a 5-year program, and then we've been discussing that with Cassis. So this is my point. There is what's called asset-based community development. You cannot assume that the Ethiopian community doesn't have assets. It's got a lot of rich culture, educated people, motivated people, but they just don't know how to help, how to come together. We have to organize. We have to increase our competence. We have to learn how to negotiate the system. We have to connect with the system. In Washington, D.C., one of the reasons that we succeeded very well is we were good politicians, we were good connectors, we mobilized, and we developed the Multicultural Service Division, and it's still running 35 years later. Here too, there are organizations like the African Coalition connected to the Department of Mental Health. You've got to advocate, because all the resources are not within the community. You've got to work smart as a community. And I truly, truly believe that the faith-based organizations can do a lot of good. Because in a lot of cases, the first place, in fact, this is in my book that I gave you, Cassis, that I wrote 30 years ago. The first place our community, especially the first generation, not the first generation, first place they go is to the churches, to the faith-based, to their clergy and so forth. That's where they go to. So in Washington, D.C., we connected, with a faith-based organization. We helped them train, we helped them connect. And I'll tell you, we must have saved a lot of lives. We have saved a lot of lives. So the plan is to kind of more or less what we did with the second generation last time. I don't know, we spent a couple of, I don't know about this. We just spent, we developed a 2 or 3 days curriculum.
This one's better.
And on what's called helping skill, how to be an effective helper. It's a skill, by the way. It's a skill that one learned. I remember teaching World Bank managers on helping skills to be effective. These are high caliber people at the World Bank, even some medical schools in Ethiopia and so forth. So if you remember, what I did is basically how do you listen? Active listening. How do you empathize? How do you show compassion? How do you hold hands? How do you engage? How do you refer? How do you make that person feel you understand their issues? That's where it begins. So the whole idea is more or less, to repeat what we have done in the past. But this time around, I would really like to see the faith-based organization get involved. Because I believe, even the clergy can benefit from this, definitely. Meaning that, you do the spiritual, aspect of things and so forth. But on how to learn to communicate in terms of motivational interviewing, active listening, paraphrasing, probing, even confronting, it's a skill. By the way, getting into this type of training not only help you as a helper, but it can help you also as parents, as friends, as colleagues. So the whole idea is, we've got the curriculum, by the way, it's tested. lots of places. It's translated in Amharic too, whether you believe it or not, even for the first generation. But what is required is an organization, a platform where critical stakeholders, key informants, we don't have to start with a large group, small group, very effective. People that people can go to, even the priests and others can refer to within the church. Yeah, because you're going to be overwhelmed, because you can. But if you have helpers, others, you can refer, peer support, so that they can help. We can help them understand what issues of mental health is, about depression, anxiety, psychosis, those who require medication, those who have suicidal ideation, when you should get worried, when you should refer. So basic understanding of mental health. The other one is how to refer, how to make sure this person is guided in the right direction. Okay? Because in my over 40 years of experience, it's only one time with all thousands of patients that we work with that we had one suicide. Because when people are engaged in treatment, in helping environment, yeah. So my point is this: the idea is tonight continue to do the good job, prepare, organize, and I'll come and help you. And that's a problem.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't need to go through, I know everybody's tired, they want to do the good thing, so we just don't want to lose a few moments and the question answer. Justice, can you come? Just bring a few questions out. Thank you so much, Dr. Tunda. So we were going to be, as I say, tomorrow we're going to meet with those who's volunteer and the youth. We're going to talk about how we implemented this program. This program, like the virtual in person, we promise we'll do something. We're not just going to have, raising up. This is great, but in action, this is call to action program. The next would be the last part. If we can just read a few questions, all due respect. Okay, so I'm just going to take a few questions, and if we have to refer whoever it might be, it would be good, because we don't want to ignore your questions. I know you want to learn about it. No, we have here, I'm going to read it. Can you get some questions over there? Can you get them? Okay. The first one is, as a parent.
As a patient.
No, a patient?
Yes. As a parent, yes. How can we give
Guide
yes.
them without judging them. Okay. As a parent, how can we give them without judging them? I think it's just a parent. This goes to maybe the youth, these questions, if you want. Without marking them, feel their future chosen by the parents. Like, it's like, how do we guide them without having them feel that way? Is that the answer you can ask? You can answer. I'll put Rosa.
I would just say to one, we said it earlier, but just be open, be honest, leave room for growth. I feel like when you guys first have that discussion, it's going to be like, well, I've done this to raise you, or I've done this, that, you're doing this. Even if externally everything's going well, you don't know what's going on in your heart. So when they tell you, please be receptive and don't make them feel like your thoughts are inadequate or, lack credibility. Because when they're not in your home, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what it's like for them at school. You can ask if someone 8 hours of the day that you don't have control of your child's life. So receive what they say, be receptive, and you're going to be learning with them on how to address any of the problems.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
the next question.
The next question. If someone is not taking their mental health medication and a family wants to commit them to a psychiatric hospital, what are the steps, or where can they find resource and how?
That is an excellent question. I will start with the resources. One of the more popular groups, especially for people of color and people who have been marginalized because of their race, is NAMI, urban NAMI. They might have the starting place, like where do I find the California resources for an involuntary commitment? You all say 5150, right?
Right.
So the idea is that to have a successful 5150, there must be some pre-steps you do in the family. So right now, what you want to do is go become more knowledgeable in the symptoms of what you think is going on with your loved one. We call this like keeping a factual journal of the things that they're going through. Hallucinations, hearing things, being despondent, being catatonic, that sort of extreme weight loss. So like you might have your loved one, if you call and say they're locking themselves in their room and they won't come out, that's not a high enough bar. You have to give them, can you hear me like this? Is that too loud for you? So if your loved one is showing signs, no, sorry, okay. That was a good one. If your loved one is showing signs that their baseline is off, you want to start writing that down. So if you call and say, they're locking themselves in their room, there's nothing statutory in there to spark the need for help. It has to be they're harming themselves by being gravely in danger. And your language is slipping my mind right now, but you can go on our website and find your language. So it's like, not your language, the language of the law. Say something like, they have not eaten or slept in days. They are looking like they are having psychotic episodes. They're lasting this long. They're speaking to people who are not in the room. You have to hit those markers, and they have to be the markers not only for the state of California, but for your county. And as you get closer to that time, when you see your loved one is not meeting baseline, you want to keep a record of it. There's there's a LEAP method that you learn to speak to your loved one about their mental health. So the first thing we want to do is say, you're not crazy, it's okay. Or you're crazy, you need to go. We need to get rid of that kind of accusatory language, and we need to learn the language of connecting with your loved one. Medication and help that they volunteer for is the best, but if they're so sick they can't volunteer, unfortunately, our only recourse is that level of intervention if we don't know how to do it as a community. I never want to be the one to tell Black people to call police on a sick person. It is our only recourse. So you need different lines of action. Is this something my community can show up for? Is this something I require a doctor to save their life? You've got to start getting organized and getting informed so you know when you have to make that call. Some counties in California are now refusing to pick up your loved one if they have not committed a crime. We have got to get creative and start looking at that severe mental illness gap, not like a mental illness gap so much as like we are intentionally marginalizing you gap. So think more like, what did the Black Panthers do when they couldn't get food for their kids in their community? They started the lunch program. In Chicago, when the ambulance would not take Black people to the doctor, they started what we know as the American ambulance EMT, started as Black people responding to being marginalized. We have to start looking at that gap between access to help and help as what can my community do? And we have to make sure we are whiteboarding, getting creative, not creating liability for ourselves, but using our community any way that we can. And we may not know those answers. When it comes to getting someone involuntarily committed, we're sitting at a table of infrastructure where we've inherited the best ideas are harmful ideas. So we want to start saying, instead of begging for a place at that table, let's start making a system that we want to see. But until we get there, you may need a 5150 in your life. So just getting very organized, knowing the signs, knowing what you need to say. Again, TAC.org, treatmentadvocacycenter.org, find the language of California law and start documenting where you see it in their lives. Is there any place in involuntary commitment that you might know that I need to talk a little bit about, because there's so many levels. There's the step-down treatment, there's while committed, there's so many answers to this question. And my organization is always here to help walk through them if I didn't answer it sufficiently right now.
Thank you. Thank you. We will have just a shorter answer because of the time, but we're trying to address. Some of them overlap, but this is a compliment I just want to read. This is for the youth group. My question for the youth, thank you so much for your open discussion. I love it wanting to hear it from as a parent. Do you have any plan to continue the kind of event by inviting parents to share your outside perception? So the answer is yes, we will help them to organize similar, more so with the youth and the parents, definitely. That's the answer, right? Okay, good, thank you. The other one is, okay, go ahead.
Okay, the next question.
Alpha.
How do we get family on board towards therapy and mental health services? One thing to have the family support towards recovery, but how do we tackle wanting to strengthen your well-being with a family who thinks it's not useful?
Alpha, if you just, because I think you addressed like the family important.
Okay, let me just rephrase the question. How do you handle?
How you get family on board towards therapy and mental health services? One thing to have that the family support towards recovery, but how do you tackle wanting to strengthen your well-being with a family who thinks it's not useful?
Thank you. That's a good question. And this question is very important. Let me just say this. For people that have mental health issues, but they can talk to you, like your uncle is drinking. He's hearing voices. He's not going to work. He's doing things that are borderline problematic. Okay? That's easy. The most important thing is this, is to talk to them, help them, understand that you need help. Don't even use the word mental health. Just say you need help. You need to go talk to somebody. Or you can call me. Talk to Alpha. Don't make it mental health. Because the most important thing when somebody have a problem, the most important thing for them to get help is to first know that they have a problem. If you don't know you have a problem, it's difficult to get help for you. You understand what I'm saying? If you believe that, oh, what I'm doing is normal, I'm drinking, I'm smoking marijuana every day, I'm going to school, but I'm failing a lot, but I'm fine, mommy, I'm fine, dad, you got a problem. Because you need to understand first that you have a problem, then you have to be willing to get help to solve the problem. That's the first thing you have to do within the family. Okay? For people that are severely ill, just like what the sister is saying, severe schizophrenia, they cannot know the difference between what? Right and wrong. Okay? Then you can go to a different route as what she was talking about. Okay? So I'm saying this to say, please, just talk to your family. Just be kind. Be nice. Don't make it more than what it is. Because guess what? Social work is about helping people. Dr. G just said that there are skills that you have to know to help. If you don't know those skills, you're going to hurt somebody. You understand? So we are here to support you. Call and get some support so that we can be able to get you where you need to get to, whether yourself or your family member. Thank you.
Thank you, Alpha. I think the next question is what is irrelevant, what he said exactly. How can we help our loved ones who are struggling with mental health challenges when they refuse help and don't acknowledge their illness? Is what exactly Alpha said. The best suggestion would be, if they don't accept it, I think you learned from Saba as well, come forward yourself as a caregiver, speak with someone how to get help, okay? Most likely, yes, they don't accept their illness. Okay, here we go.
It will be short. So there's a method of communicating with someone who lacks insight called the LEAP method, L-E-A-P. And I was able to use this as a public defender. I had a client who was in psychosis, and he kept saying, you don't have the right, you don't have the right. And of course, I'm sitting there going, to do what? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, are you sick? I could tell he was in psychosis. But if he doesn't believe he's sick, he's never going to answer my questions about being sick. So that thing, meet me where you are. So I finally asked him. He said, who gives you the right? I said, the state of Georgia. He said, I'm in South Carolina. There was zero I could have ever told him to convince him he was in Georgia. The LEAP method teaches you. Me just submitting that I can't logic him into the answer was a part of the LEAP method. I met him where he was. I will answer your question. I will tell you who gave me the right. I was able to get him labeled, a petition for incompetency. So we have to do that with our loved ones. If they're hearing voices, that must be tough. Do you want to talk about that? Not, of course you're not hearing voices. It's called the LEAP method. So I'll end there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There is two similar ones. One is two-way zero to zeta, or misconception in our community is particularly associated with mental health about being depressed or possessed or with bad spirit. So, Dr. Tella, he can talk about the ADHD since it's affecting our community. The other one is similar question we're having about more and more college students being diagnosed with ADHD. And starting medication to meet with the high demand of the schoolwork. As a parent, how can we determine whether the students truly have ADHD or whether the academic expectations are beyond to demand? This is one misdiagnosis, especially the child, like early age, elementary school most likely. We will have some other session, but I would say just general knowledge. You need to advocate on behalf of your children. I was one of them. They told me my son has ADHD, but my son was just a hyper and challenged the lazy teacher who was sitting there doing nothing. They kept pushing me to give an ADHD medication. I didn't. I know he wasn't ADHD. He was just aggressive, very energy with. So we really have to advocate for our children before we get medication. Okay, this is just a school thing right now. They don't want to do so much work and they will just diagnose you ADHD, which we will have under the training as we go through this organizing the common disorders in our community. We will be talking with expertise. Maybe the image will come help us as well. Thank you so much. Those are the two questions. The very last one, which one is the very last one? What Dr. G? Okay. We really appreciate your patience. I'm sure we're trying to address your questions as much as we can, but we all have so many questions of curiosity. The only way we can do is by gathering like this and discuss among us, okay? Here we are.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Last question. What of the role of agency, the ability to make a decision for yourself? I wonder about parents trying to face conversations, force conversations, not respecting privacy. Example, reading journals, spying and see which while we mean. While well-meaning can also harmful relationship. How do you address this question?
Yes, he knows that this applies to you because they're the ones that know the language and how they feel. It's better to hear from them than me being a parent to tell you what to do.
Okay, I'll try to keep this very short. Sometimes alamawik as a parent is not fun, but one thing my mom made very clear when I first tried therapy was, I want you to first be able to share that with someone else and then be able to share it with me. Because she knows she's not a therapist. She can only guide me with what she knows. So if a trusted professional is gonna give me better advice, she'd rather be able for me to confide in them first. And I know as a parent, that's a lot of things you're letting go of. You're letting go of control. You're letting go of having access to your child. But it's not gonna serve them if they can't go to who's gonna help them the most. And you can still be there for them. They would love to have you and be a support system. But there's two things that go into that. One, you may be part of the problem and they may not want to share that with you. And two, it takes time. For them to even want to go to therapy and understand that they have to work on themselves is one thing on its own. And then to even tell you that they want to do it is a whole nother thing. So be patient. You may not know everything. You may not know the whole truth, but they need to do the work on their own so that they can feel comfortable and safe to bring that information to you later. And accept that there may just be some things they don't know that you don't know. They don't know things about you when you grew up. And it may not seem fair because you want to know everything about your child, but in due time, they have to grow. They have to do it by themselves.
Thank you so much, you guys. It's been a great day for us, for you as well. I hope it's for you too. Allow me to express my deep gratitude for the community leaders, like Wizara Tizita, Dr. Tella, Saba, all of you, Haji Mansour, Alpha, of course, Cassis, all of you guys working here and attending, for your great unwavering leadership, what you've done, what you're willing to do in the future, especially Mulu, my friend. We really appreciate your support. Without you, there is no community. Community is not a concept. Community is a people. Community is value, culture, love, tradition, food. That is our community. So when we do so, we also have to face challenges together. This is our challenge. If we can do it together, we can face it for everything else. If we just ignore it, we try to attend the positive ones, then we're going to lose our children mainly. So we hope the next time we will share information, we will invite families, youth, even if it hurts, let's face it together. And we're going to have a similar one with the youth leadership. This time they're the one going to be calling up on you. We hope you were going to join us. Thank you. But one more person I'd like to appreciate them. I really want to say. Hold on a second. Okay. I really appreciate my brother Kusamu Nilma. He is the media guy. He came from all the way from Texas. This guy is amazing. When I told him, he just like, this is my donation. That's the least I can do. He flew from Texas just to be here to share. He said, we have to tell the story. We have to tell this is going on in our community. This is the only way we connect with social media. So we really appreciate brother for being here. He went, Yes, that's also on media. It's going to be in the future because he does believe in it. We need a compassion and passion. It's not just a business. This is not a business, guys. This is something we have to do together because it's coming to us. So we really appreciate you. He run around the last minute to get his thing to, what it just said, posted. The diaspora media, that's what his name is. I'm not good on social media. So please follow him and support him. He is, I guess, is that a YouTube thing going on, right? Yes. Good. And but last but not least, my brother Fukuro. Fukuro's everywhere. You see him. Whether the wedding, anything. Fukuro is so quiet. And I see him grown up with the community and doing a great job. Thank you so much, especially for us. We really appreciate that. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. By the way, just allow me to take this advantage. February the 21st, it's called the African Summit. It's organized by African Coalition. Every year, we work hard to be where we are. This is a platform we create. All Africans come together to social, political, economic issue. Luckily, we were able to connect with African Union last year. They came last year too with a delegate. This year they're going to be here. We'll be focusing on substance abuse in Africa. in the United States, because right now we're next, you guys. We're next in Latin America when it comes to the United States and substance abuse issue. For that reason, we have to be proactive, protect our continent, and also address the issue of substance abuse within our community. One is that's the main factor what leads to mental illness in our community. Substance abuse is issue, fentanyl. So we really have to this, unless we partner with the public and the private sectors, this is not something we can fight alone. So we will have Attorney General as a keynote speaker, California Attorney General. We will have some Liberia State Representative of Colorado should be attending to be part. So we will send you invitation. Those of you can attend, we will invite you and welcome you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna give this mic. She's asking me the lead from all the time. Here.
Thank you very much. I'm talking to Wezero Tizita. Wezero Tizita, you said I am not a good example. I lost my son. You are a hero. Is a victim, and his soul is using you to hurt the others. So we are proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for everyone being here. We're coming to close to our discussion, our final conclusion. A few remarks to make. One is, one thing is clear that there's a need, a desire need for us to get ourselves involved in this thing. Firsthand, we have to deep into it. But it's not just a one thing. It's not from the youth to adults to parents, okay? It has to be mutual with the connection. We need the youth, also we need the parents, we need the community, we need the culture, by the way. That's very important, very important. Yes, we live in a Western society where there's a diverse culture and community, right? But we also have value in our culture, even more so in our faith. More so in our faith. And just in the words of God, the first, very most theology concept is a person is created in the likeness and image of God. That's the first and very most, okay, theology word. A person is created in the likeness and image of God. So a person has to have fellowship with God. First thing, we've heard it a number of times today, between lines, we've heard that. We have to have fellowship with God. Also, we have to have fellowship with one another. That's the reason why the assignment to all of us, the commandments are summed up. Love your God with your mind, with your heart, with your strength, with your energy, with your soul, and love one another as much as you love yourself. Love yourself. That's the main conclusion. We've heard it from our mother Tizita, motherhood is a gift by itself. It's not a loss, never a loss. God have granted you that, it's the will of it. And also, I really love how you put it. A pain, a grief, into a purpose. And a purpose. And purpose. That's the reason why our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ became one of us, to take our pain. So we can never say, I'm experiencing pain alone, separately. Because He firsthand took our pain and He experienced it. So we need the whole community into this. We have to build this from the bottom up. We heard a lot from it. But one thing is very clear. We live in a digital age. Now pretty soon it's going to be AI. Digital doesn't mean anything. We're going to convert it to AI. We're going to have AI panelists some years from now, right? Try and have no emotion whatsoever. So in this digital age, something is very clear. The world is cynical, one way we look at it. We are playing with fire. Okay, that's the reason why I don't want to be very much biblical and to make it a sermon. It's very clear that the message is like, we cannot escape this world. We have to face it firsthand. But we need the tools. So we've heard a lot from how we can acquire the tools, how we can get the help. We need the youth to help us, first to communicate with us. From where we come from, Ethiopian and Eritrean, by the way, it's not the parents' fault. If you go to see the source, we grow up in the community, in the culture, where faith, culture, the dogmatic, and the traditional teaching of the church is blended together, so we'll lose our roots. We won't lose our roots. We just have to differentiate and apply in a way that benefits us all. So it can be transformed. It can be transformed. We don't have to lose it. Because those are the bedrock. We don't want to lose our tradition. For sure, we don't want to lose it. Because not having those traditions will expose us to more problems. But we have to enhance, we have to change it. We have to an agreement that we heard a number of times, over and over again. We have to be able to communicate openly and directly. We have to enhance this. We know we love our children. You know, I'm a father, I'm a parent. I know I hear that all the time. You guys are old enough to do this. Mine are a lot younger, and I'm getting it now. But the world is just changing faster and faster. So we'll have to develop a way to communicate with one another. But you gotta help us by helping yourself. Communicate with us directly. Come to your face basis, just talk to your priest, your sheikh, and your monk, your pastor. Come and do that directly. Have the one-on-one communication. This has to be done in one way only. Any faith-based, you know, if you go to any faith-based places, just from the humane point of view, first we have to acknowledge a person as a person, just like you and me. A person, we have to recognize. We have to make sure those people are, anybody who's born to this world is a person. We have to acknowledge that. In doing that, one thing must happen. Love and truth. Love and truth. If love has a language, it's truth. It has to be addressed into truth. Through our culture, through our diversities, yes, we can talk having real, honest conversations, but it has to be open communication. Because you have the law on your side, you cannot go around and do something, either parents or children. And instead of doing that, have open communication with parents. Parents as well. We've heard a lot from them. Try not to suppress them, not to have their need. Why not? Every person have a mind, a soul, right? And a body itself, and have an energy that's given to us. So we have the likeness, like I said, we are the likeness image of God. Everybody's entitled not only to their opinion, their actions, but we have to be accountable to how we do it and the way we do it. That's very important to do. So let's help one another getting there, please. I'm not just asking, I'm begging, because we're losing number of kids monthly. If you count what happened in Los Angeles the past 3 months, we've lost more youth than ever before. And it's not going down, it's going up. So there's a call to action, and it requires all of us to be part of it. So thank you for being here. I hope you take this message. I also want to thank African Coalition, our panelists, the youth, those of you guys who commit the time and the place, the energy, and some of you guys even put in the church and mosque and whoever has represented the other churches, other places, all the community in here together. We are in here together. My message to most of them, close to me, and religious and faith bases. Let's take this back to our parishes, our places. Let's do the grassroots work. We're gonna meet up here once in a while? Yes, we are. But we still have to do the work at home. I have to do our work at home. Sheikh Masood has to do it as well, right? Everybody has to do it. Let's take back and work with this, with our youth, with our families. So that way we build stronger communities going forward. I hope it's very much as sweet as informative, as touching, as inspiring, as educational as this. It's not the last one. I'm just glad to be here, the first one. I'm sure you all are, and we're going to continue to do this. May God bless everyone abundantly with every heavenly and earthly blessing. Please, let's do a closing prayer, and if I ask you guys all together. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Heavenly King, Comforter, Spirit of truth, treasure of good things, giver of life, command dwell in us, cleanse us from every stain, bless those who work tirelessly to bring such enlightenment in our life. May you help us to stay steady with the guiding Spirit. Have mercy upon us, have continued mercy. As you bless our afternoon, may you bless our evening and our night. As your only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, taught us how to pray. We'll call up your holy name by saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive our debts, that we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, power, and glory, unto the ages of ages to come. Amen. Our Lady Miriam, the only angel Gabriel, greet you, rejoice, full of grace, virgin was unconscious, as well as flesh. You are blessed, and among women, blessed is the fruit of your womb. God, bear, pray for us that who have sinned. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, may forgive us our sins. Glory be to God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Have a blessed night. Thank you.
አፉዝ ሙመር ነኝ ከሬሜዲ ታክስ ሰርቪስስ። የ2026 የታክስ ወቅት ደርሷል። እንግዲህ የታክስ ህግጋቶች በየጊዜው ይቀያየራሉ። ዘንድሮ ትንሽ ለየት የሚያደርገው የፕሬዚደንት ትራምፕ አዲሱ የዋን ቢግ ቢዩቲፉል ቢል አክት በመተግበሩ ምክንያት የተወሰኑ ለውጦች ሊኖሩ ይችላሉ ተብሎ ነው የሚገመተው። ሀሳብ ግን አያግባውት። እኛ በአይአርኤስ የሚሰጠውን ከፍተኛ የሙያ ብቃት መለኪያ የሆነውን የኢንሮልድ ኤጀንት ስታተስ ስላለን ህጉን ለእናንተ በሚገባ መልኩ በቀላሉ አስረድተን ታክሶትም በሚገባ ሁኔታ እንሰራለን። ይምጡ።
በጥቂቱ ኢንዲቪጁዋል ታክስ ሪተርን እንሰራለን፣ ፓርትነርሺፕ እንሰራለን፣ ሲ ኮርፕ፣ ኤስ ኮርፕ፣ ነን ፕሮፊት እንሰራለን። ይምጡ።
እኛ ጋር ስትመጡ ያለንን ሰዓታችንን ወስደን ሁሉንም ኢንፎርሜሽን ሰብስበን ያለውን አሟጠን ነው እናመጣላችሁ።
ቢሮአችን አመቱን ሙሉ ከሰኞ እስከ ቅዳሜ ክፍት ነው።
ሜናንዳ ለኢትዮጵያውያን በኢትዮጵያውያን የተሰናዳ ሜናንዳ የኢትዮጵያ ምርት ጅምላ አከፋፋይ በሰሜን አሜሪካና ካናዳ የኢትዮጵያ የባልትና ውጤቶችንና ልዩ ልዩ ምርቶችን በጥራትና በብቃት በማስመጣት ለኢትዮጵያውያን እንደምናቀርብ ስንገልጽ በታላቅ ኩራት ነው። ለመኖሪያ ቤቶ ቢሉ ለአበሻ መደብር፣ ለድግስ ቢሉ ለተለያዩ አገልግሎቶች የሚውሉ ምርጥ የባልትና ውጤቶችን ማግኘት ቢፈልጉ ሜናንዳን ምርጫው ያድርጉ። ከምናስመጣቸው የባልትና ውጤቶች መካከል ጤፍ እንጀራ፣ ቆጮ፣ ቆሎ፣ ሲዳሞ ቡና፣ ዳቦ ቆሎ፣ የጤፍ ዱቄት፣ በርበሬ፣ ድርቆሽን ጨምሮ የኢትዮጵያ ባህላዊ ይዘት ያላቸውን መሶብ፣ ጀበና፣ የክትፎ ጣባ፣ ሲኒና ረከቦት የመሳሰሉ ምርቶችን እንደ ፍላጎትና ምርጫው በራሳችን አሽከርካሪዎች ትእዛዞ በደረሰን በ36 ሰዓት ጊዜ ካሉበት በፍጥነትና በቅልጥፍና እናደርሳለን። ሜናንዳ ለኢትዮጵያውያን በኢትዮጵያውያን የተሰናዳ ሜናንዳ።
ታሪኩ ነኝ ከሚኒሶታ። ሁሌ ሮብ ከኢትዮጵያ እንጀራ፣ ቆጮ እንዲሁም ሌሎች ባልትና ውጤቶችን ይዞላችሁ ይቀርባል። ኢንቨንቶሪያችን ፉል ነው። የፕሮዳክት እጥረት የለብንም። ደውሉልን 612-986-1070 ወይም ሜናንዳ.com ብላችሁ ብትገቡ እኛን ታገኙናላችሁ።